And we are live. What is up, everyone who came here? We were experiencing technical difficulties, but we managed and pulled through. I
Yeah.
am very, very happy today to have a special guest on the show I've been wanting on for the longest time, Destiny Faulkner. Did I get your name right?
Yes. Yes, you did.
Awesome, because I suck with names. Um, we are here because it's still Women's History Month. I wanted
Yes.
to. I thought it'd be a perfect time to bring on the ultimate Scream Queen herself
Oh my God.
and do a best women in horror top 10 list. So we each have different ones, and this is really going to be exciting. Um, so you guys send in what you want as far as questions later or anything like that, and we will get to our ranking first. And since you are the woman, I will let you go first as far as your ranking goes.
All right. So starting off at my number 10, I have Sherry Moon Zombie. Yeah, this one may be controversial because Sherry Moon Zombie, but I am a Rob Zombie fan and I am a Sherry Moon Zombie fan and I personally love her and everything she does, especially Three from Hell and Lords of Salem. I think she really shines through in those roles. But yeah, not everyone can deal with her, but I'm a huge fan.
I am one of those who I'm gonna kind of outright admit I'm not a Rob Zombie fan, like at all.
Oh my God, why did I come on here? I'm just kidding. I'm
But
just
I love his
kidding.
music. I love his music. But
Well, have that at least.
as far as his movies go, there's only like maybe one I'm a fan of. I mean, I more than one. I'm a fan of Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses, but that's pretty much the extent of where it goes for me. Um, but I will say this though, Sherry Moon Zombie is always great, and if she was younger, she would actually be a really good Harley Quinn.
I agree. Yeah, she could definitely play that role very well. Especially we saw her as Baby, of course, and
Yeah,
that's her most similar role to Harley Quinn. She's just more of like a fucked up version of Harley Quinn.
pretty
More,
much.
yeah, a little bit more violent, I would say.
Yeah, just a little bit more. My number 10 is, and this was honestly like the hardest list to make. I don't know how hard this was for you, but like I was going through and I had to literally ask friends of mine, be like, "Hey, what should I have in the 10th slot?" Because I was like could not decide at all on what to put in there. Um, and so my number 10 ended up being Sigourney Weaver from Alien
hmm
and also the Ghostbusters movies and the most underrated M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Village. Um, she was great in all those movies. And whenever I think of a final girl, I think of one of the ones I immediately go to is Ripley in Alien,
hmm
because like the way that they made that, like what was so brilliant about it is they made it to where at first she didn't even seem like the main character, but then once everyone else dies, you kind of have to follow her,
hmm
and she's just and the way that she just every decision she makes is so smart and so precise that you just are rooting for her the whole way, and she's the ultimate definition of just empowering and
hmm
inspiring. So, and that's also just one of the scariest films like ever made. Um, but
This
then,
might hurt you. I've never seen the Alien franchise, but
girl,
I know. It's like I know everything about them. I just haven't seen them, and I own them, so I have no excuse. No one hate me, please. But
well, okay. You don't have to watch the entire franchise. All you have to do is just really watch the first two, and then you're good.
okay, okay,
Because yeah,
yeah.
because the rest of the franchise is hit or miss. I know there's going to be some fans watching this of other ones, but it's, yeah, I'm not really all that big of a fan of the rest of them. First two, though.
First two, yeah, I've heard the first two are great, and then three,
Yeah.
you either love it or hate it. I guess that's the same for the rest of them. But I had the first three in like the little trilogy set. I found it because I live with my boyfriend, and this is his grandma's old house. And so I went through their movies after living here for like 2 years, and I found like the Nightmare on Elm Street old box set, and I found the Alien like trilogy and Devil's Rejects and House of Thousand Corpses. Where the fuck were these this whole time? So I'm now a proud owner of those, but I still haven't watched them. No excuses. I know.
Yeah, no excuses. But as long as you get to them, and I know there's other ones on this list too that you haven't seen that I'm probably gonna fight you over. But hey, have you seen Ghostbusters or The Village?
Okay, I've seen Ghostbusters, haven't seen The Village, but I already know the twist. But she's also in Cabin in the Woods for a little bit.
Yes,
She has a
that
little
is
scene
true.
in there, so
She was in Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I do like Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah. The Ghostbusters. She's in both of them, I think, and she's also in the 2016 remake, which was something.
I didn't see it.
But yeah. So, what is your number 9?
My number 9, I have Vera Farmiga, one that's been in a lot of horror movies. First one I really know her from was Orphan. That's a really good one. She does a great job in that movie. And then, of course, the Conjuring franchise as Lorraine. I love Lorraine and Ed. They're like my favorite horror couple, so have to give her a shout out for that. And then also Bates Motel. I didn't watch all of Bates Motel, but from what I did watch, I really enjoyed her in it. She was really good. So I love her. She's great in everything I've seen her in, even in non-horror movies. Like I watched The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Freaking in school, 5th grade. It was a traumatizing day, but
have you ever seen, speaking of not like her non-horror movies, have you seen Up in the Air?
I have not.
She stars with George Clooney in that movie, and that is a really like devastating but really funny movie at the same time. So that's one I definitely recommend as well.
I'll check that one out.
But yeah, she Orphan was, well, my introduction to her was actually Up in the Air, but whenever I watched some other movies of her, I really fell in love with her in the Conjuring films. And was just like, man, who is this woman? And then I saw Orphan, and I was just like, well, shit. Like the way that they did that was just totally, that twist and everything was just spun you on your head. And
oh my god, yeah.
Apparently, I read too. It like made like people, like there was polls that came out that said that they actually stopped like adopting, or there was like lots of adoptions just not going on after that movie.
It's crazy. On my DVD, I found the Blu-ray at Goodwill, and so like I bought it, and I went to go rewatch it not too long ago, and there was a like thing before the movie started talking about like this doesn't represent adoptions and stuff. There's like this whole thing before the movie started. I was like, holy shit. It's like I didn't know they included that, because I always saw it like on TV. That's how I watched it. So I saw that, but yeah, they played something talking about like how like adopting is good and this doesn't represent adoption and stuff like that. I was like, fuck. I didn't really think about how it could affect adoption rates. It's pretty crazy.
It is. Yeah. It's just like there are some things like that, like in a show I watched called This Is Us. There was a character's death scene, I guess you will, that a crock pot made a house burn on fire and stuff like that. And so ever since that episode came out, people stopped buying crock pots. And it was one of those things that like, no one bought that anymore. And they're just like, yeah, I'm not going to deal with that. I don't want my house burning down. So it's really funny how like horror and non-horror related things
It can
both like
really influence you.
really can influence your choices and influence what you do. And yeah,
Yeah.
I found that kind of interesting. But great pick. And while they're not the exact same, we have something similar because my number 9 is Taissa Farmiga from
Wow.
from uh, from The Nun
Mhm,
and Final Girls,
mhm.
and she's also in a subpar horror movie I saw at Sundance this year, but like she was really good in it, which was it's called John in the Hole, I think is what it's called. But yeah, I saw that at Sundance this year, and she was really good in that. Um, and she really. What's funny is at first I thought that Vera was like her mom because she's so much older than her.
Yeah.
At first I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I read they're both sisters, and they actually oh, and American, yeah, Good Real Hunting also mentioned American Horror Story. She was also great in.
Oh, of course.
I
Yeah.
also loved her in that. That was actually my introduction to her,
Mhm.
and I wasn't really a fan of The Nun, but she was great in that. And Final
Yeah.
Girls, yeah, that was an amazing movie. Um, so Taissa Farmiga, she really, her and her sister both, I feel like, are just staples of the genre at this point. Like
Mhm,
they're just really, um, really passionate about horror. You can
mhm.
tell, and so they're both like, I feel, have like an influence on the genre that really um, helps solidify their spot as one of the best
Mhm.
final girls or scream queens of this generation. Um, so yeah, that's my number 7 choice because, or number 9 choice. I am
Mhm.
way off my counting. Number 9 choice is Taissa Farmiga. So yeah,
Yeah, they definitely both have made their place in more of like the modern scream queen, and that's great. It's awesome to see like from the '80s you had your scream queens like Linnea Quigley. She was like a top one, you know. And now these, they're
uh,
not really anything like Linnea Quigley, but they're their own version of the scream queen, and that's great. It's great to see newer influences on the genre.
it is. It is.
Okay, so now, oh, sorry, I was looking at my other list from this earlier, and I was like, oh my god, did I say the wrong thing? No. Okay, my number 8. I have Toni Collette. Amazing. Anyone who's seen Hereditary knows. Even if you don't like the movie, because I know it's kind of like a polarizing movie, whatever, even if you don't like it, she still does an amazing job. She makes one of the most, that face she does with
Oh,
the ants, that's
I
one of the most terrifying faces ever.
yeah, that was this what she did in Hereditary was just insanely good on another level. And I was actually like so furious and upset that she just did not get any like Academy Award
Anything.
nomination for that. Like every single year for me, every single year it's always like the best performance of that year is actually not the one that gets recognized. Like Toni
Mm-hmm.
Collette,
Mm-hmm.
Adam Sandler and Uncut Gems, and all this other stuff. Like every single year, it's always the actual performance. I thought, yeah, this is like the best performance I've seen this year that never gets recognized, and
No,
it's so sad.
I know it's so frustrating because she's just awesome. And then what else? Um,
And
Krampus.
yeah, Ross also mentions that she was amazing in The Sixth Sense.
Yes, The Sixth
Yeah,
Sense.
which
She's also,
she actually was nominated for that one, which was really good.
there we go. At least she got
Yeah,
some recognition. But that was how long ago now? Like, come
yeah,
on, give her the
yeah.
fucking award. And then the Fright Night remake, she was also in that too. So she's been in a handful of horror movies and some pretty amazing ones. She
Oh
definitely
yeah,
deserves more
yeah,
because
and she has this new sci-fi movie coming out called Stowaway on Netflix. Have you seen that trailer yet?
I don't think so.
it looks really, really interesting. It's a space movie, but it's her and Anna Kendrick are both in it, and that looks really good.
Ooh.
And she was in my favorite movie of last year. Some people consider this horror, but I don't really know if it's horror. If it is, it's like very abstract,
Mm-hmm.
which is I'm Thinking of Ending Things on Netflix.
Okay, yeah, I did hear about that movie. I
Yeah,
didn't watch it, but I have heard
yeah,
about that.
it's one that is very out there, and
Yeah.
but she was it was my favorite movie of last year, and she was in that, and it was she was great and kind of creepy in that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was
From the trailer I saw, I was like, oh my god. But there was something in
yeah
the trailer, even though, okay, so I haven't seen it, but I did watch videos about it, so I do know, like, what it, and how it differs from the book, because I, like, watch videos about it. But there's something in the trailer, which I guess once you do know what happens in the movie, and you go back and you watch, you're like, oh, that makes sense. But that's something I noticed, like, immediately. And I was like, oh, that's weird, because she says something, and he's like, what? But she's saying in her
yeah.
mind. I was like, note that. So I was like, hey, I actually caught something. I'm not really a good, like, movie reviewer. I'm like everything right past my head. So I caught that, and I felt pretty proud of myself.
I'm one of those guys who I'm much more like able to write a review
Mhm.
down on like Letterbox and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It can be a lot better, like and more comprehensive with that than I am like on video
Yeah.
whenever I'm doing a review, because then I'm just sort of like
I don't
like
know what to
like I don't know
say.
what to say. But I mean, I've gotten better as I've been doing this,
Uh-huh.
but overall I'm still I still need practice.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
most of the time I'm like, yeah, I like it. Like, it's pretty rare if I don't like a movie, because I'm just like, yeah, it's good. I'm not super harsh on things, but so if I don't
Yeah.
like something, that means like I really don't like it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you better those who are watching this and want to make a movie, you better make it good for Destiny. If she hates it,
Yeah,
then
because I have
you
some
know it.
weird criteria to
Yeah,
make a
you
good
know it.
movie.
So my number 8 is I knew that I had to have a Friday the 13th final girl in here, so I have Amy Steele from Friday the 13th Part Two. She is the well, maybe not well, not the, but definitely one of the best final girls I've like ever seen on screen.
Hmm.
Um, she was relatable. She was super likable to the point that you were just like really rooting for her the whole time, the whole way. And she just, oh man, she is also just a badass in that whole movie too. Like
Hmm.
when she with her final fight with Jason, like she knocks him the f out several times, and it was great to watch. And yeah, Amy Steele is just one I love her in that movie. What
Oh
were your
yeah,
What are your thoughts on?
oh yeah, she's great. She's definitely up there in my like Friday 13th final girls, just because she's also just really smart. You know, she uses her brain, the whole psychology degree she has. She really uses that to her advantage. And I think when she has the sweater on and then she's like, Jason Weathers talking to you, I think that's one of the best scenes in like the whole Friday 13th franchise. Because I feel like that right there really summarizes what the Friday 13th movies really are about after part one. But
Yeah,
she's just great. I love her.
I personally like. It's not like my number one like favorite
Hmm.
Friday 13th movie, because like favorite and best can be two different things in
Yeah,
my opinion. But like I think it personally, in my opinion, might be like the best Friday 13th movie
I could see that.
I've actually watched. Yeah,
I
it's
could see that. Yeah.
it's really great.
I think it's my I think it's my third favorite. I would say that it is probably the best, and I love the sidekick Jason. That's just an awesome touch.
That's yeah. He's. I would have to say that he's probably the scariest Jason I've seen
Hmm.
in the franchise, because um like just the one like Was it One Eye? That was,
It
I
is
think,
One
yeah, I
Eye.
think it was just One Eye. That look there was just really, really horrifying. And I mean, I enjoy a hockey mask, Jason,
Mm-hmm.
um, but as far as the one that actually gave me chills, it was Sackhead Jason was the one that actually like got to me and
Mm-hmm.
scared me a lot.
Yep. And he's also in Mean Girls. I only just recently learned that. Apparently, everyone else saw it the first time they watched it. They let me know. Made me feel dumb, but
Oh, what
there's
the
in
Sackhead
Mean
Jason?
Girls, yeah, because it's from part 2 that Damien and oh shit, what's her name? Janet, Janice, Janice. Yeah, they're watching it, and then Katie like barges open on Halloween, and they're watching part 2. I didn't catch that the
Oh,
first
yeah,
several times I
yeah,
watched it. Yeah.
yeah. I remember that. I actually, because I rewatched it recently, I actually made that a few months ago, like question of the day on Killer Flicks. I did. I was like, what is the best non-horror movie where they're watching a horror movie, or like, what's the scene? What's your favorite scene
Mm-hmm.
of that? And I was like, I chose Mean Girls because I was like, whoa, they're watching Friday 13th Part 2. I was like, that's cool.
I know
But
it is cool. It's just like, whoa. I guess you can also kind of hear the music too, like the stinger going off in the background because it happens like at the same time. Yeah,
oh yeah,
great scene, great scene.
it is a great scene. Um, Robbie says, uh, Friday the 13th talk. What about Jason Goes to Hell in the
Oh my
tent scene?
god,
In the
and the
tent
tent
scene?
scene.
Oh boy.
Robbie, get
Like,
that tattooed on you. The
I,
tent scene
yes.
somewhere. He loves it so much.
And and in my opinion, we don't discuss Jason Goes to Hell. That is not a good movie. But
Yeah, sorry.
I'm glad that you like it, Robbie. That is
I'm
great.
glad there are fans because then what would be the point of the movie? But
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not one of those fans.
Yeah.
Okay. What number are we on?
He says right on my chest. He'll get that
Right
tattooed
on your
to his chest.
chest. That's a
Yes.
really good spot. I'm sure everyone would love to see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then post it to Killer Flicks whenever you do, so then
You
everyone can
better.
see it.
And tag us both
Yes.
in it. If you don't, I have to block you. Those are the rules. I'm sorry. But yeah, please tag us. I have to see that.
Definitely. So what's your next one?
Number 6, right? Oh wait, no. Hold on. I keep looking at the wrong list. Number 7. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
number 7. I keep looking up here, down here. So my number 7, I have Samara Weaving.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, what's not to love about her, really? First saw her in The Babysitter, and I loved her in that. And then watched her in Ready or Not. Really loved her in that. Um, I love that movie, and she's definitely like the best part of that movie for me. And it's already a great movie. I feel like
Yeah.
anything she's in, she just steals the show. The Babysitter too. She's not in it nearly enough, but when she's there, I still love her performance. I haven't seen Mayhem yet, but I've heard great things about it, and I'm a fan of Joe Lynch, so I need to watch that soon. But I've heard she's great in that. And then I also haven't watched Ash vs. Evil Dead, but I know she's in
Oh,
that. I
yeah.
know. I need to. I need to. There's a lot on my list.
I
It's
mean, but the thing is it's so sad though that like you need to, but then it's like so sad because then you watch it and you'll be like, I won't get to have any more of this
I
because
know.
it got canceled. And the way they ended it, I'm not gonna give it away, but the way they ended it, season 4 would have been fucking amazing. Like the way
Uh,
they set it up, I was like, oh
that's
yes.
so annoying.
And then they
That's so
canceled
annoying.
it, and I was so upset. That's like the best canceled show I think I've ever watched. But
That's
I
also what's that show called? The one with Timothy Oliphant and Drew
oh,
Barrymore.
Santa Clarita Diet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I went to my mom's house and she was watching it one day. So I was like, I watched a couple episodes. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. I need to watch this. And then I heard it got canceled. I was like, what's the point of me starting it Either I want to watch it, but when I know it just gets taken away from me. That's another one I'm like, I need to watch it, but I don't want to because then I'm going to be sad.
I mean, it's Santa Clarita Diet. Well, that's one of those ones that it does end in a cliffhanger of sorts, and it makes you want to see what, like, you're like, oh, I can't wait to see that in the next season. But at the same time, it also kind of ended in a way that I was like, okay, I mean, I'm upset that there's not going to be another season because I love that show, but I was like, okay, I can maybe live with this a little bit more because this was, this did end on a little more lighter note, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So,
I guess that's good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Timothy Oliphant, I love him. He did you watch the new season of Mandalorian?
I've never seen anything Star Wars. So
Anything?
I did not. Anything.
Star
So
Wars.
I did not.
Wow, you are
Yeah.
one of the first people
Yeah.
I have talked to who've never seen anything.
No, literally the only thing Star Wars I've seen is the episode of Family Guy that were like the Star Wars episodes, and I fucking hated those episodes because I didn't know anything about Star Wars. I was just like, great. So excited to watch Family Guy tonight, and it's the Star Wars episodes. Pissed that for the rest of the night. I'll still watch them, but I was mad. So
I
no
mean,
Star Wars.
To me, those are funny, but if you want to have a drinking game, watch the holiday special. That will.
I watched a video about someone reacting to the holiday special because I've always heard it's fucking bad and insane. So I watched that and I was like, oh my god, I couldn't believe it.
I've never. It's one of the very few movies I tried watching, and I've just never actually been able to finish, like, complete. Because every single time I do, I've just like I try to turn it on and watch it. I'm like, I'm gonna watch the whole thing. I'm gonna sit through it, have my alcohol here, and even when I do it, I'm like, I can't actually finish it.
I can't do it.
It's like but yeah, that's crazy. You need to watch at least the original Star Wars trilogy because that is like, the iconic thing that inspired so many other great films.
Yeah, I do have them, and I have a few of them on VHS. It's just one of those things I just haven't gotten around to actually doing it.
But back on to Samara Weaving, she one of the guys here, Ross, says it's Margot Robbie's sister, which is like, perfect because she does look a lot like Margot Robbie.
Yeah, there's like 5 of them that all look like they could be related.
Yeah. And I am actually like, I rewatched Ready or Not with some friends of mine because I introduced them to it. And as I was watching that, I was like, I think I'm like obsessed with her scream.
I fucking love her scream.
Like I'm just like, yeah, scream. Like the way that she screams, she sounds like she is like literally like fucking dying.
Seriously?
In like bloody murder or something like that. Like she's just like that she's being like tortured or something. Like you want to help her every time she screams. I'm just like I'm like, damn, she's a good actress whenever she does
really
that.
Is.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time we're at my stepmom's house. She's like, "Oh, I just watched this new movie," and I was like, "Oh, what was it?" And she was like, "Oh, it's so stupid, and I really didn't like the girl in it." I was like, "What was it?" And she said, "Ready or Not." And I was like, Ready or Not? I was like, no. She's like, I hated that girl's scream. I was like, you hated it? I was like, I wish I could scream like that. That fucking banshee scream she does when she pulls it out and she's holding it against him. I loved it. I was like, where is she pulling that from?
Yeah, and she also did that in Ash vs. Evil Dead because she like gets fucked up in that show. And as she's doing that, like she's like screaming loud as her like leg is bleeding all over the place. And I'm like, dang, get that girl some help.
Seriously.
Because I'm hearing her scream like that.
It's so good.
Yeah, she's man. One of my questions I want to put in Killer Flicks one time, speaking of Ready or Not, is like, what is the most squirm-inducing scene between the nail scene in Ready or Not or the nail scene in Quiet Place?
I would definitely say Ready or Not. Just because it's her hand's already fucked up and she puts it right in it. Oh, that one hurt. The other one, I feel like it's more of like the anticipation of it. This one is just really climb, 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 boom.
And you can't help it. You can't help it because you have to find a way to get out of there. And so,
has to pull it back out. And even that scream she does with that. Oh, I love when she screams at Georgie. She's like, "Fuck her!" Just screams at him.
There's so much great like comedy usages in that film. I'm really excited that they are making Scream 5.
I'm so excited.
Those directors. I will say, I'm getting kind of tired of these sequels just being titled like after that one
same name,
like the same name, like Halloween 2018. Oh, Halloween. Now I have to say, now I have to differentiate them. I have to be like, oh, it's Halloween 1978, or I have to be like, oh no, it's Halloween 2018.
Yeah.
And like I hate how now I'm gonna have to be like, oh no, I mean Scream from 1996, not Scream from
Yeah. I feel like this is one that I'm just gonna call Scream 5. It's like I can't help it but say Scream 5.
I mean, I also am not a fan of these two, but I was like, if they wanted to be like, clever with the title, you could have put like a 5 as the S or something.
Yeah, just something.
Scream 5 or something along those lines. Yeah,
it's just something. But yeah,
I'm still excited either way because the whole cast is coming back, and those guys directing it, just after watching Ready or Not, just had me more intrigued. So
yeah, upsetting that Samara Weaving can't be in it because they wanted her in it, but with like the scheduling, they couldn't get her to do it.
No.
And I was like, no, because that's what like people are hoping for. We found out it was like Spyglass. They're like, oh, the same guys. Like maybe Samara Weaving can be in it, but she couldn't do it. And it sucks. It's like she would have if she could have, from what I've read. I was just like, damn. Maybe the next one.
Maybe. Hopefully.
That'd be great.
But she does seem like she makes a really good pairing with those directors. So I would love to see them work together again.
Me too.
For my number 8, I'm going to choose one that not very many other people would choose, but she's kind of a celebrity crush of mine, and that is Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She was in The Thing prequel from 2011 and was in 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was great. And then she was also in Happy Birthday, the greatest filmmaker of all time. She was in Death Proof from Quentin Tarantino, which was really great as well. So she has been in several horror things, and like in interviews I've seen with her, she's one of those girls who's not just like, pays to be in a horror film and wants to be in it and there's like, okay, I'm done. She like is very passionate about actual like horror and is like really passionate about the genre. So I have a feeling we'll see her in very many more horror films to come because she's very much into them. And so, yeah, that Mary Elizabeth Winstead, just her performances are always great. And I wasn't a fan of The Thing from 2011. I'm going to rewatch it again, but I wasn't a fan of that one. But, every single role she's in, she just is phenomenal. And she is just always a force to be reckoned with. And I just love her. Have you seen any of the horror movies that she's in? Or
yeah, and one of my, I guess from the one she's in, I really enjoy her in Final Destination 3. It used to be my favorite growing up.
That's another one. Yeah.
It used to be my favorite. It's not really my favorite anymore. I rewatched it recently and I was like, oh, I guess some of this isn't as good as I remembered. But she's still really good in it. And she took that role very seriously. Watching like any of the behind the scenes stuff, she would like separate herself to try to really get into character and stuff. And then I haven't seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, but I did watch Death Proof not too long ago. I wish she was in that more, but she still does a great job with what she was given. And the prequel,
they do kind of leave her in the shadows and
They
desperate.
literally
A
just
little
leave
bit,
her.
yeah. They literally leave her, yeah, and
They
she's just
literally leave her there.
I'm just like, you could have taken the best character with you, but that's
I
fine.
know. I would have liked to see her put up like a fight. I would
Yeah,
like to see
she
her
would have.
fucking beat his ass.
She would have kicked some serious ass if she was in
Yeah,
it. I would have loved it.
especially in her cheerleading outfit.
Yeah.
In her cheer outfit, and you're not gonna have her go fight. Missed opportunity.
Oh, whoa! She was in Black Christmas from 2006.
Oh yeah, she was. She plays the southern one, the one that with is it
Oh,
Philip?
she does.
She's
Yes,
the one that's in the car. Yeah.
I remembered that. Yeah, she went and she didn't she like get like impaled or something like that, or
It doesn't show what happened to her. You just
yeah.
see the one that's from the original. That's in the 2006 one. She's like getting out, trying to scrape the ice off the car, and then there's like an opening of the glass or the ice, and then you just see blood, and you see like Billy looking out, and there's like a blood splatter. So you
Oh
don't see what
yeah,
happens, but
yeah.
there's blood everywhere.
That's true. And I actually have a fucked up story with Final Destination 3. My my sister, I remember when I was like a kid. I was really young at the time. We were going to Kings Dominion amusement park, and my sister, I remember the night before, she's like, "Michael, come in here. I want to show you a movie." I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm really excited." So we go in there and we watch it, and it's Final Destination 3, the movie where the kids die on the roller coaster. And I
Yeah.
watched that literally the night before I was going to a place filled with these things. And so I'm now able to ride roller coasters really well because I eventually manned up. But that day, I was just horrified out of my mind. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with these because of that movie. And thanks, Megan, for scarring me for life.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that was. It was
Yeah, even now I don't ride roller coasters, which I've never have, but that movie probably also does have a lot of influence on that because that came out whenever I was pretty young. So those movies have shaped my life. It's
yeah.
not very fun. I'm scared of literally everything, but that's okay.
My friend just recently dragged me with him to go onto a drop tower because I've never done those things that you see at those amusement parks. And he dragged me
Oh, you
on
go
those
like all the
things.
way up, and it's just like
Yeah, and it just like drops you down. You go up slowly, and I wasn't even able to look down the whole time. I was just like, while I was going up, I was like, nope. I just let myself drop whenever I did that. I didn't look down the whole time. I was like, I'm not doing that because yeah, it was. And then the same friend, I was a madman, and I took him for his birthday because he's so into this like aviation, and he wants to get into the Air Force. So I was like, I'll man up. And for his birthday, I took him skydiving, and that was like, if you can't ride a roller coaster, you would.
I literally cannot do anything
Yeah,
like
you
that.
would hate that. You would hate that experience.
I've never even been in a plane. I'm too scared. So I can imagine getting on a little plane to jump off the fucking plane to
Well,
hopefully land.
what's funny is it's like the actual drop itself isn't even that bad. It's like it's literally the plane ride because you're 10,000 feet up in the air, and then it's like once you are for him, the instructor just pulled him off of the plane. For me, my instructor literally sat me on the edge of the plane. I was looking down 10,000 feet. And he's explaining everything to me. Like as we were dangling off the side of the plane, I'm like, couldn't you explain this all to me before we were
Like
dangling on the side of the plane,
2 minutes ago or
and it's
something.
just, yeah, and so then he explained to me all the instructions, and then we went. That part was terrifying because I was like, because you're like, what do I do? Once you actually drop, it's only lasts like a minute, so you don't even know it's really happening.
Oh my god, that's so scary.
It's so surreal, but yeah, um, it was a minute drop, and it was like an 8 minute float down with the parachute.
Oh my god, I would be fucking. I'd be like, you sitting in the air, like going all crazy. That makes my stomach hurt. You just talking about it. You talking about dangling over the plane, looking down, makes me literally want to throw up.
Oh,
I'm like sweating over here. I can't. I can't.
Yeah.
Ooh, fun stories.
That will. Hey, speaking of horror, that will be a story that will traumatize me and I guess traumatized you too. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but
I can feel it like in the pit of my stomach. Like fuck
yeah.
no, you are brave, a lot braver than me. Most people are.
Well, I've known this friend for like 8 years, and for like 7 of the years I've known him, I'm like I kept on refusing. I was like, no way in hell am I going to skydive with you. And then I don't know what made me think it was a good idea to do it, but then I was just like, fine, I guess I'll for his birthday because he's leaving. I guess I'll that was yeah
I don't
man.
think any of my friends are like outgoing like that. I think if I were to be like, let's jump on the plane and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? No. How about we just sit here? I'd be like,
Yeah.
that works too.
Well, it was funny. Like the couple that went right before us, um, their the boyfriend was all just like, "Yeah, that was so awesome," and the girl was like, "I fucking hated it." She was
That
like,
would be me.
and I was like,
I wouldn't be
"Yeah,
talking. I would be in
but
shock.
yeah, it was funny." But we are on number 6.
Yeah, number 6. Okay. So my number 6, I have Megan Fox for her role in Jennifer's Body.
Ooh,
That's
nice.
that's really all. Like, she hasn't been in too many horror movies really, but I feel like her as Jennifer Check, she made that role. That role was made for her. She is, you know, Jennifer Check. There's no one else that could really do the same thing that she did. No one can bring the same energy she brought for that character. And that's my second favorite horror movie. I love that movie. It's one of my comfort movies. She's amazing in it. So yeah, I have to include her. And then I just like
Yeah,
everything she stands for. She's a really like humble and a
yeah,
sweet person. Someone who has been like unfairly judged her whole career. But I'm a huge supporter
yeah.
and
And
defender.
like I hate how like yeah, she seems like a genuinely good person, and I
Mm-hmm.
hate how like just because Michael Bay was drew her out as this very whorish character in the
Sexy,
Transformers movies
seductive, yeah.
and stuff. I'm really hate that like people put that as their way
Yeah,
of thinking when they think of Megan Fox now, and it's just
me
sort of like
too.
it's sad. It's sad because I'm just like she's actually seems like she's a decent person, and for the most part, does fairly well with. I mean, there's some performances of hers that she's not the best thespian out there, but
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer's Body is definitely one that is a guilty pleasure of mine that I just enjoy, and I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit it. Like people have come to me being like, "Oh, you like Jennifer's Body, the movie about vampire cheerleader?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah,
Suck it.
it's a great movie. It's so
Yeah,
good. It's a lot of fun,
I do.
and yeah, it is kind of frustrating because they discredit everything else she's done just because of her looks, and that's not fair to her. And she's talked about her experience before, and it's really heartbreaking to hear. But I love Megan Fox,
Yeah,
and I
and
love Jennifer's Body.
every time I hear people talk about Megan Fox, like I've heard her people say, "Oh, her best performance is in the live action like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that came out."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I watched that, and I was like, "Did you guys watch Jennifer's Body?"
Yeah, did you not see her in that?
I was like, that is easily her
Her
best performance by a
best
landslide.
performance.
Yeah,
Yes.
by a landslide. Yeah,
Oh, she's so good. There, like I said, I don't think anyone could, because like Diablo Cody herself said, like Jennifer Check is Megan Fox. Like that is her. There's no one else for it, and I
oh
agree.
yeah, Diablo Cody wrote that, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
Yep.
she is one of my favorite writers because she also wrote Juno and Young
Yep.
Adult, which are like, yeah, those are also really amazing movies as well. So yeah, she's one of my favorite writers right now.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the interview between Diablo Cody and Megan Fox, it's like 30 minutes, I think. Like you can find it on YouTube. But they're talking about their experience with making Jennifer's Body and like the marketing and how it was mismarketed and like all the backlash they got from that movie and stuff. I
Wow,
recommend
yeah.
it. It's really insightful, and it's really sad to hear their stories, especially because like whenever I watched it, it came out 2009. I was probably 10 when it came out, and since then, like I've been a huge fan of it, and I didn't really know how much it was hated until like more recently within the last year, and I was like, oh my god, like people didn't like this movie. I was like, seriously, but then I found out why, and it's because they just wanted to see Megan Fox look hot in the movie. I was
Mm.
like, that's not fair, but
I
marketing.
wonder if that's honestly why, like, because she doesn't really act anymore. Like, I've noticed that she's not really, or maybe well, one guy here said that Megan Fox has a horror movie coming up, so I guess she still is acting, but she's just not really. She doesn't do a
Yeah,
whole lot anymore, and I'm wondering if it's because she's been kind of typecasted or whatever.
yeah,
And
probably. And then
I don't know.
I think I know the one. I believe it if it's the same one. It's like honeymoon. I think that's what it's called. Something to do with honeymoon. There's pictures I saw on Twitter. She's in like what looks to be like a wedding dress or something you would wear like after your wedding, and she's like all bloody and she's like handcuffed to the bed.
Yeah, Chris Snyder said it was called. He says I'm pretty excited about Megan's new horror movie Till Death or whatever it's called. I don't know if
There we
that was
go.
what it was
Yep.
called, but yeah, it was like
That's
something.
the one. Yeah, something
Yeah.
to do with the marriage, and yeah, it looks like she's handcuffed. It looks maybe like a Gerald's Game type of thing. I'm not sure
Ooh.
because she's just like handcuffed and it looks like she's stuck, but she's like covered in
Yeah.
blood and yeah, and she looks great in blood. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, I dig that. I'm definitely gonna have to look into that. And Emily Boomer says Adam Brody also did an interview too
Yeah,
about Jennifer's body and defended Megan Fox.
yeah. There's this really cute clip with Adam Brody and Amanda Seyfried, and they're singing the song from the movie, the Through the Trees. You can find that. It's like a little clip. It's really cute. I love Adam Brody. That man is so
Oh yeah.
fine, especially in Denver.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
his whole goth look is
He was
I love it.
he was also in Ready or Not.
Ready or Not, yeah, and
Yeah.
in Scream 4.
And
Not enough.
he was at the beginning of because I know Ross is probably going to mention it. He was in the beginning of Promising Young Woman. Have you seen
I
that?
haven't seen that, no, but I have heard of that that movie more recently.
Yeah, it like came out last year and it was phenomenal. But Adam Brody is in the beginning of that, and he was
Amazing.
also in Shazam too. I didn't know that. That was cool. But um, and he was in The Ring. Oh yeah, wait, he was in The Ring. Yeah, okay, I do remember that now.
What
So
did
yeah,
he play in The
so
Ring?
um, Emily in the comments, if you know who he played in The Ring, comment because I don't know who he. I've seen The Ring so many times. I grew up with that movie, but I don't
Yeah.
remember who Adam Brody played
The only
in
guy I
that
can
movie.
remember is the guy that plays the dad, and the dad, or like the guy you figure out who's the dad is Mark. I think that's his name, because he's in The Strangers Pray at Night as the dad.
Oh,
Just
oh
playing
yeah,
dads.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She says he's very briefly in it at the funeral.
Maybe okay.
In The Ring.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. One
yeah.
of the friends, and I think he may be the one that talks to her at the like after the funeral, like outside. I think when like she's smoking.
Oh
That may
yeah,
be him.
yeah.
There
I
we
think
go.
that.
Damn,
Yeah,
can't even remember him in that. That's when you know it was a small part, because it's
definitely.
Adam Brody.
Oh yeah. Um, my number 6 is one that is. I don't know if she's really done any other horror movies, but she's very. Uh, she's a passion pick of mine, and it is Marilyn Burns from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original.
Yeah.
Because every time I watch it, like, well, which is very few times,
Mm-hmm.
because it just can't bring myself to watch it that many times. But I every time I watch it, her performance just blows me away with like, especially the ending.
Mm-hmm.
I know all the drama that went on too. Like supposedly, some people said that she was stressed out because like they filmed that scene like the entire day. They spent filming that scene or something like that, or
Mhm.
like and then some things have said that like the ending scene where she's at the dinner table, like apparently some people have said that like she didn't know that was in the script and everyone else did. It was like changed or
Oh my
whatever. So
god.
like so it was like just happened to her, and so she was like genuinely terrified because she's like, what the hell is actually happening
Yeah,
to me? And all that. So it was one of those things where it's like they kind of crossed some lines while they were making that movie,
definitely.
but it made for one of the most genuinely like best and I don't know the word, but she was just like so like you believed her so
Mhm.
well at the end because especially like whenever she gets on the truck at the end and just laughing hysterically, I'm just like that is probably very accurate to what would
Yeah.
actually be in that if you were in that situation. And so yeah, Marilyn Burns is just what she did in that was just exceptional, and she's part of the reason because of it being such a real and raw performance. She's kind of part of the
Mhm.
reason why I can't really bring myself to watch it a lot of times,
Yeah.
just because it's just like I put my mind in her, like I put myself in her shoes, and that's just always hard to go back to. Um, I had a friend who like oh, he oh no, this was my friend. This was my oh man, this was my cousin. My cousin got me into some messed up stuff, but he I remember one time he was like, "Hey, Michael, let's watch a movie," and I was like, "Okay, cool." I was really young at the time. I was like a
Mhm.
really young kid, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm down with that." And so he had 1408 with John Cusack, which is really good, and I was like, "Yeah, I can do that." And Samuel L. Jackson, I was like, "Yeah," I was watching it, enjoying it, and then he had Texas Chainsaw Massacre that he popped in, and I was too young to watch that, and
Mhm.
it scarred me for life. Like I was never the same after that day watching it with my cousin, and kind of, I kind of part of me was like, he's my cousin. I obviously love him, but part of me was like, I will also forever have this like
Uh-huh.
little hatred for you in the back of my mind for making me watch that when I was way too young. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Her performance in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, because like you said, it's once you find out everything that goes on behind the scenes and how hot it was, and it was so hot the meat was cooking while they were in there and it stunk, and they couldn't change their clothes, so they had to wear the same clothes, and they would have to like peel it off them because they couldn't afford to buy new clothes and keep that same continuity, so they would just rewear the same nasty ones. The
oof.
the ending with her finally getting away, and I think I also heard they had shot the end scene and they had to reshoot it, and so like she had really had it at that point. And then the scene when they like hit her or like they cut her finger, that was real because
Yeah,
they're just kind of
yeah,
over it and they're like hurry up, and so they just cut her finger, like that's real. Yeah, like that. Nothing like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre it will never be made again, because like
yeah.
that will not ever happen again. So her performance is genuine. It's kind of like the same thing with like The Shining. I didn't include Shelley Duvall in here, but I guess
Yeah,
she would be like a
I'm wearing my Shining shirt.
oh beautiful,
I didn't wear my
beautiful.
I didn't include her either. So I was like, I want to represent her in some way. But
Yeah, I do
yeah,
want to give a shout out to her because again, everything she went through on set, and even though she said like it did make for a better performance, it's still so sad. And then again, when you watch it, it's kind of hard to not really feel for her. And so I'll always defend Shelley Duvall in The Shining. I know people say she's not good. I think she's great because that's
oh yeah,
genuine. Like that's real. Who cares if she doesn't hold the bat right? Like not everyone can fucking just hit their husband with the bat, you know? That's kind of frustrating. And then they shot that scene how many times? It's like you
yeah,
see it one time, you didn't see it the whole like 140 times that she actually had to do it.
yeah.
But
I mean, the only recent example of a director kind of going kind of far with a movie is that I can think of is a movie called Foxcatcher. from 2014 that I watched with Steve Carell, where he's a comedic guy, but it was a much more of a dark drama
Mm-hmm.
with him, and it's one of those films I can't really bring myself to watch again, knowing the true story behind it. But apparently, the director behind the scenes, I watched the special features, and he had every actor write down the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to them on a sheet of paper, and he says, "Okay, if y'all break character, I'm showing this to everyone." And it was one of those things where literally like on set they had to be the entire character the whole time. They
Oh
couldn't
my god.
break character or else they would risk, having the most embarrassing thing ever happen to them be shown to everyone on set. And that was just yeah.
That's
So
fucked up.
it is fucked up. But I I want to be a director myself, but I'm never gonna go that extreme because yeah,
No.
that's just what they did with Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Shining, and that movie is just yeah. I don't know. I applaud all those women for being able to push through it and
Seriously.
give what they did with that because what they gave us is some of the best performances we have today, and it's because of the environment that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, something good came out of it, even though I
Yeah,
don't support the way that it was done and dealt with.
I agree.
So,
Yeah. And I feel like I mean, there's been, and maybe Shelley Duvall feels differently about it now, but there was like, in some documentary, she was saying like, yeah, like what, you know, Stanley Kubrick did to her, she didn't like, but they both had the same vision for like her character, and at the end they still met that, they just went about it different ways. But like she was sick for like a year because all the stress, her hair was falling out, like
mm,
it mm,
yeah,
little bit much.
that's a little bit much, but it's interesting though that both those scenes we brought up are like two of the most replicated scenes
Mm-hmm.
in horror because we have like your favorite horror movie, Strangers Prey at Night. It
Yes,
kind of
Kinsey in the back. Yep.
replicated the Texas Chainsaw Massacre ending at the end there. And then one of my favorite shows of all time, well, actually my favorite show of all time is Psych, and they had a horror episode which is
Ooh.
where like Gus was like in the closet and he was holding a mop or whatever, and like
Mm-hmm.
one of the guys was chopping through the door and he was
Mm-hmm.
screaming like Shelley Duvall holding the mop in his hand or
That's
whatever. And
amazing.
it was so great. I was like, yes, that is perfect. So they
Yeah.
those scenes have just have been replicated so many times, and
Oh yeah.
even then, those scenes are always great, but they're never going to match up to what was first
Yeah.
given.
No. And then like Freaky kind of did the same thing when he's like breaking through the door, but it has the main girl in Freaky. Well, I guess the butcher version of Millie. But it has her like with the shot
Mm,
looking up at her. She's trying to like break in the door to get to her like friend and the mom. Yeah, those scenes are like all
yeah.
over pop culture. All the Simpsons episodes, like those are really good. Or like even Family Guy. I love seeing anything like that, like
Oh
cartoons like
yeah.
that doing like horror stuff. All like I took probably 30 minutes today, and I went through all the seasons of Bob's Burgers because I was trying to find every scene that has a title that's like based off of a horror movie. There's one called like Last Ginger House on the Left or something like that. I
The
was like, oh,
last ginger house on the left.
like the last gingerbread house on the left, and there was like, what else was there? I found like 7 of them. I think I was like, how did I not realize like these are like from horror movies? Any sort of pop culture reference like that, I just love
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. I love it all the time too. And apparently, Robbie says that Shelley Duvall is in a bad place in recent years. Her mental health.
Yeah.
She has some major mental health issues. She apparently did interviews with Dr. Phil a few years back, which was sad to watch. I need to check those out because I haven't seen those. But
I've seen
yeah,
pictures, and even like the
yeah,
pictures, I was just like, oh my god, like
mm,
it's so sad. She was so just beautiful. She had such a unique look about her, and I loved it. Seeing like all the older pictures of her,
Yeah.
She was just, yeah, seeing all the more recent stuff. I was just like, oh my god, like what did he do to
It,
you?
it also probably part of it has to do with not only the environment she was in that she kind of dealt with mental health, but also I don't know if this like played off screen for her with like her actual life, but like I've talked to people who I would be like, "Hey, shut up, that's kind of shitty to say," because they would like actually make fun of the way that Shelley Duvall looked or something like that because they said she doesn't look human or whatever. Like they would kind of make fun of her
What?
looks or whatever,
That's
and
so
like
annoying.
and it was just the way I'm like I'd like to say I hope that didn't actually correlate to real life, but I'm just yeah, from what I've heard some of my friends say before, I'm just sort of like, yeah, don't do that because that's not
She's
cool.
been
It's
through
like,
enough.
yeah, yeah,
No, I think she's
doing,
just gorgeous. I don't know, something about her eyes. She does have a unique look. Like she doesn't look like just your everyday person, but that's what is so great. Like she stands out. She has a really unique face, and I love her look. And people make fun of her teeth. It's like just leave her alone.
yeah,
Damn, pop off her dick, man. Just
exactly.
let her have something, please.
And Ross says that Texas Chainsaw Massacre. No, wait, not Ross. It was gotta get the name right here. It was Dan. Okay, Dan says that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the scariest movie he's ever seen, and I do not blame you because it is honestly up there for me. It's one of the scariest films I've
Hmm.
ever experienced.
I really want to visit, or like, you can't really go up to the house, but you can like drive by the house that they use. But you can visit the like the gas station. They turned it into like where you can get some like food, and there's like souvenirs and stuff for like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But that's like,
Ooh.
I think it's like 3 to 4 hours, maybe 3.5 hours away from me.
Oh,
I
nice.
really want to visit there someday.
Yeah,
That'd be
that,
cool.
that, that would be really nice. I are you excited for the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming out?
I am. Even though like I like the original, there's a few of them that I like in the franchise. It's still not my favorite franchise, and it's not really near being my favorite. But I'm interested in like I
There's only two films in the entire franchise I like, which is the first and the remake,
really
2003, the 2003 remake. Yeah,
yeah I like the first one. I like the second one. I like the remake, and then I like the prequel to the remake.
I didn't like the second one at first. I need to rewatch it again because
Hmm.
I was thrown off by the difference in tone.
And I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe if you go in knowing, I feel like that's also kind of like The Strangers Pray at Night. Like you go in, because like the first time I watched that, I was like, oh my God, it's so different from the first one. Hate it. Then I
yeah,
rewatched it and fell in love. But I could see that whenever I watched the second one for the first time, I knew how like just insane it was and how like goofy it was. Even like
yeah,
my boyfriend who doesn't watch horror movies really, he watched it with me. He was like, what the fuck is that? He's like, I don't want to watch that again. I was like, I understand, because from someone on the outside looking in, there's like, what, like why is this happening?
yeah.
Why is
Yeah.
the chainsaw going up to her crotch? Like, why is he doing that? But it's
And
fun.
Robbie says that he loves Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. It takes a place. It takes it. It takes it back to a more serious tone, and I love the characters. Plus
Yeah,
Tim Corey. Yeah,
yeah,
that's yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Always great when he's in the movie.
But yeah,
Yeah, that one's
I'm gonna
yeah.
rewatch them all again before the new one comes out, so I can have like more fresh in my mind, like
Mhm.
because yeah, like I said, I only like two of them right now, but I want to rewatch them all before the new one comes out this year. And supposedly it's coming out this year. I don't know if that's going to be the case with everything that's been going on,
Mhm.
but yes, but I'm really intrigued by that. So I'll see if I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 on a rewatch too, Robbie. Who knows? Um, maybe I will. Although him and I disagree on Hellraiser, and that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I've only seen the first 2 Hellraisers. I don't really have much
yeah.
of an input on those.
Him and I disagree on some of the other Hellraiser sequels
Mm-hmm.
in the past, but Dan actually says that Shelley Duvall seems to be doing fine now. She gave a recent interview with her husband and said Dr. Phil actually manipulated her. So I don't know.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to
I need
look.
to see that one then.
Yeah, you'll have to send me the link, Dane,
Yeah, I need to know.
so I can send that to Destiny. Yeah,
Yes, please do.
that checked up.
Whatever
Yeah.
it may be, I hope she's doing well now. I hope she's okay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I hope she is too after what she experienced. And let's hope that no one ever has to experience something on that level again. Whenever
Seriously.
they're acting,
Yeah.
or
It's, even though it makes for a great performance, it's not worth it at the end of the day. Like, yeah, her performance, and then even Sally's, like, even if you're not really a horror fan, I feel like you still know the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and you still know The Shining, because
oh
those
yeah,
are referenced so many places. And I feel like even if you're not super into the horror genre, you still know those movies, and you know Wendy, and then you know Sally. Like, I feel like those are 2 well-known women that even like casual moviegoers know of, and their performances will never be forgotten. But it's still not worth all
yeah,
the years of trauma that's been experienced. At the end of the day, really, it's just a movie. So
yeah, sure. Um, so I guess we'll go on to number 5.
wait, did you say your number 6?
My number 6, I thought. Yeah, my number 6 was Marilyn Burns.
Okay, yes, sorry, I was making sure. Yeah, duh,
Yeah.
we just talked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre for how long? Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5. Okay, so my number 5, I actually have Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah. One of the top scream queens, and maybe even the most famous scream queen, but she is not necessarily my favorite. But she's been in so many movies. The Halloween movies, Terror Train, The Fog, Prom Night. She was in Scream Queens, the TV show, which didn't have enough seasons, but I like that. And it was so great to have her in it, just because, like, even if, like, she's not your favorite, you still have to, like, respect what she really did for that role as a final girl. Like, she didn't make that role, but she definitely, like, solidified what a final girl is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Did you actually hear the story? I've been watching this podcast on Shudder for part of the Women's History Month that I never actually got to really check out. But I finally watched it or listened to it now, and it's called She Kills. And it's like interviews with different kind of women in horror and stuff like that. And they were talking to, I forget the episode. I think it was either the D Wallace episode or it was or another episode that mentioned Jamie Lee Curtis and brought up the whole fact of there was actually someone who went up to her at like Comic-Con or something like that for when Halloween 2018 was out. And he said, it was because of you I survived a home invasion. Like, he literally had the exact same thing happen to him. He grabbed the knitting needle. He ran out the door. He ran over to his neighbor's house, and they were like, "We're not letting you in our house with that thing." And so he had to just end up fighting this guy off eventually with what he had. And he said it was greatly inspired by what Jamie Lee Curtis did.
I feel like I may have heard something about that, maybe from like a podcast that I listened to. Because I feel like I have heard something about that. Because, like, she really doesn't do cons anymore, but she did, like, a few for the Halloween 2018. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like,
apparently, Ashley like brought her to tears, and she was really. She was really, just loved that story, and that just goes to show all these people are like saying how like horror or especially slasher movies,
Mhm.
people say slasher movies don't actually teach you anything. They're just a bunch of just hacking, slashing stuff. But that story right there proves that
That
you
just
can,
shows, yeah.
yeah, that you can learn a
Um,
lot from them. So
this morning I had heard what sounded like someone was like, it sounded like my like dishes like being moved, like the glass like clinging, and I was like, it was like 6
ooh,
a.m. I was like, what the fuck is that? So I grabbed like a car key, and I put it in between my fingers, and I walked into there to my kitchen. I was like, ready? There's no one in there, and I was like, what the fuck was that? And then one time I had something like The Strangers happen to me. It was like 3 a.m. and I had like woken up because I thought I heard something, but I was like, did I hear that? Was that in my dream? I don't know. I heard it again. It was someone knocking. It was 3 a.m. And I was like, I've seen the
you,
fucking movies. I've seen The Strangers. I was like, I'm not.
yeah.
I got up just to make sure the door was locked. That was it. I was terrified. I was like, I'm going to die tonight. This is it. I know it.
Oh my lord.
We never
That,
figured out who it was either. Like,
that's
so I know.
yeah, that's horrifying.
I don't
That's
like that.
at 3 a.m. during the witching hour too. It's
I
just,
know. I was just like,
yeah,
too many signs. No,
yeah,
I don't care who it is. So it was like, if it's someone who really like needed us, they would call. They would have our
yeah,
number, you know. So I was
yeah.
like, I'm not opening my door to no fucking stranger at 3 a.m.
The only man, I kind of like want something like that to happen to me, but then it's like I know I'm gonna regret it
I always did
immediately after.
too until it did.
Immediately, so like yeah, until immediately happens, I'm gonna probably regret it once it happens. But
Yeah.
the only closest thing I can think of is I had a somewhat paranormal experience one time
Mhm.
where I like went to a barn that was like it was this abandoned, burnt down barn like beside my friend's house that supposedly a slave hung himself in there or something
Oh
like
my
that.
god.
So from a long time ago. So I it was like it was late at night. We were there, and I was just you know nothing was really happening. We stood there for like 30 minutes. Nothing really happened. And then at first we ran away because there was a giant bird that went off the tree. And we thought like it was an actual noise, so we were like running away. We were like, "What the heck?" And then it was just this giant bird. And we are like, "Okay, no, we got this." So I go in there, nothing's happening. So I like decided to just like say, "Oh, like cuss him out, do all this stuff, taunt him, see what I can do to try to make him upset, see if something happens." And then I walk out. I'm like, "Well, I guess this is a dud." And then I hear like when I walked in there, there's literally like the top is barely like hanging there. So that's like I don't know what could have done this,
Mhm.
but the window, it was like a wooden old window and it was shut, but like something felt like it like was thrown against that window. It was like like a giant thud
Oh my
on that
god.
window there. And I was like, oh shoot,
Like,
okay, let's go. And so
I'm leaving.
then we're leaving and we're in the woods. And like my friend's like, do you ever feel like you're just being like followed by
Oh
something?
my god.
And then like right after he says that, we hear like the twig snap, like right behind us, and then
You
we're
see
just
my
like,
eyes? They're watering.
uh,
Paranormal stuff freaks me out. I
yeah,
love hearing about it, but like, my eyes always water because I'm like, oh my god, it's freaky. I'm sitting in here and my lights are off, and I just have like my ring light too, so I can't see like past a few feet in front of me. Everything's black. I'm just like, just looking around. Because sometimes, one time in my house, so here, I was on the couch, and my boyfriend was asleep on the couch too, and then I heard like a snarl come from like the end of the hallway, and the hallway was pitch black. I turned around and I was like, fuck, no. It's like, no, thank you. No. One time, this is like the scariest one. It didn't happen to me, it happened to my best friend. But she stayed the night, and it was like 1 a.m., and I was already asleep. I went to bed at like 10 or something. But she heard someone say, like, Patty, in my voice. In my fucking voice. And she's like,
ooh,
she told me that. I was like, what? And she's like, did you say my name? I was like, I was asleep. And she's like, it was your voice. And that really scared me. Like, when she told me that, that makes me want to move out really bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's pretty horrifying. I I remember though we went back in the house and we were going to bed and it was like super late in the middle of the night and I kept on waking up
Mhm.
and I look outside and I see these like two little blue what looked like I don't know if they were eyes or they were
Oh
light.
my god.
They were just moving around really fast.
Mhm.
And then I was like waking him up. I was like, no, wake up, wake up. He like put on his glasses. As soon as he puts them on, it was gone and it wasn't there. And the same exact thing happened again. I saw it. I was
Oh.
like, woke him up, and it disappeared again whenever he tried to look out there and see it. And I was just like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "I swear, I'm looking at something out there." He's like, "It's probably just like my grandpa with a flashlight or something out there." I'm like, "Your grandpa moves that fast?"
Seriously, it's like really
was
this
like,
late right now?
I was like, "No way, does your grandpa move that fast and this late?" I'm just like, that was like one experience. I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
something I." Never want to do again. And it's always just I'm so like stupid because like on the inside I'm just like, oh yeah, I want to play with the Ouija board and I want to do all this stuff.
I will
But th-
never.
but then it's just like and then it's just I know I'm gonna regret it immediately after I do it. So
Yeah,
it's
sometimes I'm like, that'd be
yeah,
kind of cool. Like I've seen people do it, like nothing happens, but I'm like,
yeah.
no, I'm not risking it. I don't like paranormal stuff. I love paranormal movies, like, cause
Yeah.
that's what really like scares me. Nothing else really scares me, but like,
Yeah, same.
I don't I don't fuck with it. I don't want anything to happen, cause it's
Yeah.
like I believe in it. Like I've heard stuff and I've seen stuff before, but still, it's like I don't want anything to come after me. No,
Oh yeah,
thank you.
definitely not. Hey, yeah, but we got off on a tangent, but it was worth it.
Worth
Um
it. Paranormal stuff freaks me out.
yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, Paranormal Activity is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Um,
I love those movies.
yeah,
I'm a big Paranormal Activity fan.
I
I
love the
know they're
first.
not everyone's.
Yeah, I love the first three. The first three are really
Yeah, I think
solid.
the third is probably my favorite.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
really like the third. And like little girls just freak me out. If you're a little girl and you have dark hair and you're in a horror movie, I don't trust you. You scare me, no matter who you are.
Little
You're
kids,
just
little kids are just the worst in the
creepy.
world.
Yeah.
It's,
Every time they're in a movie, I'm just like, I'm watching you.
it's so
I
weird.
don't
Like
trust
I,
you.
I want kids one day, but then it's just watching horror movies with little kids just kind of makes me
You
think
may have
twice.
to punch them one day. They're
Yeah,
coming at you all weird. Or
yeah.
like if you have a kid and it's just like the kid from The Ring, like oh my god, especially like The Ring 2 when all that shit's happening to him and she's
Hmm,
trying to take over his body and be like, what do you do?
yeah.
Your weird ass kid is being creepy and being taken over. Like what the fuck are you supposed to do with that?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do
Um,
if I was that mom.
but yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis, she's iconic. She's what made the Scream Queen name
Yep,
pretty
she's
much.
a
Um,
scream queen.
she's the definitive Scream Queen. Um, and Janet Leigh was also very big into horror too, which
Mm-hmm.
from Psycho and all that stuff. She was
Of course.
her mother greatly inspired her love for horror. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so yeah, Jamie Lee, she was always just um, an iconic character and iconic. Everyone knows who Laurie
Mm-hmm.
Strode is in the franchise, and I want Laurie Strode in the new Halloween movie, but like at the same time, just sort of like I kind of want to explore other characters, but
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not going to happen though because they've retconned all the other movies or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But you know, but Laurie Strode though, there's a reason why her name is still today is on everyone's tongue whenever they mention horror is
Yeah.
because of not only what she did in Halloween, but she was like you said, Prom Night, John Carpenter's The Fog, which
Mm-hmm.
is which she was fantastic in, and just so many other horror movies. Um, and yeah, she was she was really good. And Dan says, "Hope to finally see Halloween Kills this year," and I agree with you, buddy. I hope that we can actually see it this year in the theater. But
That would be amazing.
yeah,
I hope so.
I hope so too. So yeah, that's a great number 5. Very um, popular choice.
Hmm.
My number 5 is Sharni Vinson from Your Next. She is the like ultimate badass.
Oh yeah,
She kills more people in that movie. The final girl kills more people in that movie than the killers do in like the
amazing.
entirety of the film. It's just so fucking great. And she's just, oh, she's so great. Um, the only thing about Sharni Vinson's character that I was maybe at first sort of like, you know, do we need that? Was that
Hmm.
like she came from a survivalist colony or whatever? I
Hmm.
was just sort of like, I would have loved for her to have just been like a straight up just badass, just trying to survive. Doesn't have any training beforehand,
Hmm.
just but because she has training beforehand, it explains why she's able to do what she does in
Yeah.
that movie. But yeah, she is whoa, she is just so good in that. And what she the like it's that movie is Home Alone on steroids. It's just
It
like
really is.
yeah,
Yeah.
because she just pretty much makes all these things just to fuck up these guys in the house. And once she knows that her boyfriend was involved, that blender kill is just what she does with that blender is just insane.
Yeah.
And,
Erin is amazing. I remember the very first time I watched Your
yeah,
Next. It was really when it like first came out and it was put on Netflix. I knew nothing about it. I was like, okay, let's watch this movie, and I was blown away. The blender kill,
yeah,
and I love um, before the blender kill when he throws or she throws the water on him. It's like it's not even hot, you dead bit falls. It's so funny. And whenever her boyfriend finally comes back and she just has the phone, doesn't even say anything, she's like where's Felix? She's like or like yeah, she's like, where's Felix? Like he's dead. It's like I stuck the blenders in his head and turned it on. And she's just so like matter of fact about it and stabs him in the fucking eye. Oh, it's
that
so
movie,
brutal. She just
that movie
doesn't
is
care.
that movie is so brutal and gruesome, but I love it. Um,
So
and
good.
and it's just like the way it ends too. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't really seen it, but like in this chat, but man, what they
The
do with that
ending.
is
Hmm.
just so phenomenal. And she carried that movie the whole way through. I was really sad though to see after Your Next, she doesn't like. I checked her IMDb today, and she hasn't really like she didn't become a big star off it, and I
Yeah,
was very surprised about that.
surprising.
And I was actually listening to the Dee Wallace episode of She Kills because she was in Your Next.
Hmm.
She played the mom in that movie, and
Oh, it's Barbara Crampton that plays
or
the mom.
Barbara Crampton. That was the
Yeah,
one. My bad. That was
yeah.
that was the episode I meant to.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was the name I meant to say. But it was Barbara Crampton, and she was talking about that movie and was saying how she herself was very surprised
Hmm.
that um, that Sharni Vincent didn't become a major player in the genre or just in movies in general. She didn't become this major star
Yeah.
out of Your Next, and that is very surprising to me.
I hope she is put in more movies because that's also like a fan favorite. Like Final Girl, you always hear like she's one of the most badass Final Girls because it's true, she is. So I hope she does, unless she doesn't really want to act anymore. I don't know, but I hope she
Yeah.
gets more roles because she's amazing in that movie. She's so good, and like you said, she carries that movie. If it wasn't for her, like it's still a good movie, but if you didn't have someone who is at her like strength and potential, like it wouldn't be nearly as memorable.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, she would. Yeah, she just was phenomenal in that movie. So
Hmm.
what is your number 5?
My number 4.
Oh wait, yeah,
Yeah,
number 4, yes, yeah.
yeah. Okay. So my number 4 is Heather Langenkamp.
Oh,
I
nice.
mean,
Nice.
Nancy, she's not my favorite final girl, but she's my second favorite final girl. But I love her character as Nancy. And then when she comes back in Dream Warriors, and then when she comes back as herself in New Nightmare, I love like her dedication to the Nightmare franchise. And I've listened to like podcast episodes with her, like Dead Meat. They did a podcast episode with her. She seems
Yeah.
just she seems just so sweet, so nice, and she's funny. And now she's trying to like direct her own, and she was like talking about one that she was directing on there that I don't know if it's out yet. If so, I need to watch it because I'm curious to see what she does. But the way she just talks about the genre, she's just so
Yeah.
amazing and so polite and down to earth. I really want to meet her so bad. She's
Yeah.
like high on my
I
horror
would.
meat list.
Yeah, she's high on my horror meat list too. That's also partially due to her being a celebrity crush of mine when I was young.
Mhm.
But when watching her, I love Dream Warriors, but I
Mhm.
actually am a little bit bitter towards it. And the reason I'm just a little bitter towards it is because I like love the Nancy character so much,
Yeah,
and they kill her at the end, and I was just sort of just like I was like, ah, did you really have to do that?
I know.
Why?
I wish
Um,
they wouldn't have. I wish
yeah.
they would not have killed her.
Yeah, I wish I wouldn't either. But I mean, the way she died was very heroic, I guess you could say.
Exactly.
So,
They killed her off in
um,
like a right way. I just wish they wouldn't have killed her off. But
yeah,
they at least did it not like something in Halloween 5 with Rachel where it's just like boom, out of here. Like they killed her off in a more like a sacrifice. She sacrifices herself. So that's at least something, but
that is. But yeah, what she did with that, and that's why I love New Nightmares. She came back for that movie,
mhm.
um, but what she did with that franchise, she solidified herself as one of the all-time greats because she just what's interesting is that like her friend in that movie, the way they set it up, you almost think that she's like the main character because it starts and
Mhm.
opens with that character, and then you later on as the movie progresses, she dies, and then it's Nancy that's left over. So Nancy's like the main character of the film, and you're like, oh, cool, okay, so this
Yeah.
switched up on it. And and yeah, the way that she played that role was just so genuine and authentic, and I
Mhm.
just loved it. And apparently, I watched on Shudder this this show called History of Horror,
Mhm.
and and they had a slashers episode, and Heather Langenkamp was on there, and she was talking about how she went to tears because some members of the LGBTQ plus community have
Mhm.
went up to her and said, "Your final showdown with Freddy inspired me to come out to my family." And the reason why is because it's like when she says, to Freddy, like, "You are no more," and this and
Mhm.
that, and I'm
You're
just going to,
nothing. You're
you're
shit.
nothing. Yeah, pretty much says that. Then in that moment, they said they felt like they were able to face up to their unsupportive parents and
Mhm.
share their sexuality with them, and that
Yeah.
was
I
and
love
that
that.
and that was really, yeah, she felt really honored to be
Mhm.
such a big part to a community like that.
Yeah. And that's something I never even really read it like any of the Nightmare movies in that way, especially like until 2, and then watching the Scream Queen, like Mark Patton's Scream Queen documentary, and then I put it together like how it can be read that way for that community. I was like, it's amazing how to some it's just a horror movie, but to others like it really impacts their life and it really changes their life.
Yeah,
And that I the genre is just amazing. I
it
love it so
is.
much.
That is. And I'll actually have closer to the end of the stream, I'll actually have a question about that relates to that later on at the end for you. So be
Oh,
prepared.
okay. I'll try. I'll think about all the
Yeah.
answers right now.
But my number 4 That's what I'm on. Yeah, because I think because you went
Yeah.
first. So my number 4 is if Robbie is still watching, he will love this. It is Ashley Lawrence from Hellraiser because she was um just both Hellraiser movies she was in. She just completely blew me away
Hmm.
and was like and is one of the greatest final girls in history because of what she was able to portray in
Hmm.
Hellraiser. And like, yeah, she stood up for herself. She was badass. She was very real in that movie. Um, just yeah, Ashley Lawrence was just so phenomenal in that.
Oh yeah, I agree. I really liked her in the two that I watched. She was amazing in them, and not, like you said, she feels so real. She reminds me of something like Nancy because Nancy also just
Yeah,
felt real, and I like that
yeah,
she's not like soft spoken or anything. Like she is feisty, and it's always fun to see like a feisty final girl, someone who will stand up for themselves and they'll just say whatever. And I love seeing her and Julia's relationship, and especially that moment when she sees like another guy walking into the house. I love that
uh,
moment of the first one because it's like, oh shit, because she already doesn't really like her. Like the dad's sitting there saying like, can you try to like spend time with her, you know? And then she sees that, and her dad's so great, and she loves her dad. Just to see that moment and that look on her face, it's so amazing. And I like that she stands up to the Cenobites like that. Like I don't think I could do that, but she does, especially in that second one in the
oh yeah.
end. Like what she does, she's amazing. And I I do want to maybe give some of them a shot. Robbie's like said some of them I should watch. Maybe you would disagree with that, but I need to watch maybe some more. And I do want to rewatch the first two, especially the first one because I've only seen them one time each.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, whenever I watch them, like my arguments against Robbie can't really
Mm-hmm.
be like true, I guess you can say, because I kind of gave up after the fourth film. Like I gave up
Okay.
after the fourth film, and then like Judgment came out. I think is what it was called, Hellraiser Judgment or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I like tried watching that one. And it was just like, yeah, I'm not into this. And um, like, yeah, I never really got into the other ones. I
Yeah.
watched 4, and then I watched like the most recent one, but that was about it. As far as my levels go. But 3, Robbie says part 3 is a lot of fun and really enjoy the newest film, Judgment. I'm glad you enjoyed that, but but I did not. Part 3 though is fun. It's one of
Okay.
those ones
Fun.
that's like you really can't take it seriously because it's one of those
Okay.
films that is completely just different
All
in
right.
in tone and everything, and so it's just sort of like it's one of those ones that is just pure fun. Just have a fun time watching it without any. Just let your brain go. Maybe you can enjoy it. I think it's okay, but the first 2 are always going to be the kings of that franchise. I hear they're
Awesome.
making like I heard they're making like a TV series or something off of it, or
Really
either that or like a remake. Robbie would know better than I would, but they're like making either a remake or like a TV series or something along that line.
interesting.
But yeah, I'm going to be very intrigued to check that out.
Yeah. I mean, even some of the second one, I really didn't like. Some of the second one, it had some moments I was just like, oh man. It was like when they
Yeah,
went into like hell, I guess, and
I I
all the
re-
shots of like the big open area. I was like, that
I
doesn't look
rewatched with
that
my
hot.
mom. I
Hmm.
introduced her to the Hellraiser films this past October, 'cause, and it takes a lot for my mom to watch those type of movies. But I watched
Hmm.
it with her, and she really enjoyed the first one. She was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm into this." And then we watched the second one, and she was into it though, pretty much a good amount until they got into hell or whatever, and that whole scene.
Same here.
Then she was just like, she's like, "No, I'm done. I just lost me." And
The
I was
guy
like,
with all the things
yeah.
coming out.
Once that happened, she was just like, she's like, it lost me, and I'm
I
like,
was the same
I
way.
can't blame you. Yeah, that is really.
Yeah, he looked like, what's that guy from Spider-Man with the things? You know what I'm talking about?
Uh, Doc Ock. Yeah,
Yeah, and he has like the things. And he's like walking on them. That's what
yeah,
it kind of reminded me of because it had all
yeah,
the things. I was just like, yeah, I was about the same. I was like, you had me, and I really liked the beginning part. But it's like once I got in there and there's all those shots of like the big open area, and I was also watching a DVD, and this is like the first time I really noticed like the DVD quality wasn't that great. Because usually I'm like, I don't care, I'll watch a DVD, it doesn't bother me. But I watched Hellraiser 2, and I was just like, oh, first of all, I can't see half the shit, it's blurry, and what I can see, it doesn't look very good because it was
yeah.
towards the ending. Maybe if I watch it in like Blu-ray, maybe it'll help a little bit, but
Yeah, for me as a major physical collector guy, I've completely my heart's been won over by Blu-ray and 4K. I'm
mm-hmm.
just I will watch DVDs, but like for certain movies, I'll watch DVDs, or like if it's movies that like don't have Blu-rays yet or
Yeah.
something like that, I'll usually buy the DVD for that and then watch it. But if I can, I'm always going to try to watch the Blu-ray because I do actually notice the difference and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But
There's
I'm
only been a few, and I'm just like, oh, because I
yeah,
remember when like Blu-ray came out, I was like, oh, that's stupid, like, oh, whatever, Blu-ray. But then I watched Hellraiser 2, and I watched, I think it was Tremors on DVD. There's some parts I was like, is it my eyes, or can I just like not see very well? Is it the quality? And it hadn't
yeah.
been the quality. So I'm slowly getting on the Blu-ray train.
I was that way when 4K came out. I was
Yeah.
like when that came out. At first, I bought a 4K TV to try to be cool, and I was like, oh, this is a gimmick. What the heck? This
Mm-hmm.
is not going to be all that great. In the first couple movies, I was like, yeah, this is a gimmick. Okay, I see how it is. And then I played like Ex Machina. I bought that, which is an A24 film and amazing. But I bought that in 4K and I popped that in, and then as soon as I watched that, I was like, my eyes, I was
Just
like,
like, whoa.
yo, I was like, this
It's
is
so
so.
clear.
I'm like, this is so crystal clear and like HD. What the world? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was really Ex Machina is what kind of made me love 4K. So now I try to watch those, but sometimes they don't port them right, so it
Yeah.
doesn't really
Yeah.
change too much. But Robbie says that the Hellraiser TV show will follow the same universe as the original franchise. The remake of the film is its own thing, similar to what they are doing with Child's Play. Okay, so
Okay. Interesting.
that is interesting. He also says the Arrow Blu-rays of the first three Hellraiser films are amazing. 2K and 4K scan of the picture, they're gorgeous. So if you rewatch it again, you'll have to definitely check it out on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
It's,
Something to where I can see.
yeah,
Yeah. I was just like, oh God, this is taking me out of the movie. I can't see what's happening. It's like, why
yeah,
is it all blurry? Yeah.
yeah,
Not fun.
yeah. It's not fun. Um, what's your number three?
Okay, so my number 3, I have Danielle Harris.
Nice.
She's amazing. She was because I grew up in like the Halloween franchise was my favorite growing up, and especially Halloween 4 and 5 because I was like the same age, as she's supposed to be in the movie as like Jamie Lloyd. So I always loved her. I was like a young final girl, something like I looked up to, being a young girl. Even one time, one of my friends, and we're still friends, and this is like I just met her, but she kind of looked like Danielle Harris from the movie, and it's because she had like the same like gap teeth and like the round face and the dark hair. And I was like, oh my God, you look like so much like Danielle Harris because you have like the gap tooth. She got so mad at me. She got so mad. Didn't talk to me. Like, we
Wow.
didn't become friends till later on. I was like, that was a compliment. I was like, I wish I
Yeah.
could look like Danielle Harris. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
So,
if I was a girl and someone said I looked like Daniel Harris, I'd be like, "Well, thank
well,
you."
thank you. She had no
Yeah.
idea who I was talking about. I was like, like the girl from Halloween 4. She was like, no. I was like, oh, oh, maybe I'm just a different one.
I
But
guess so.
yeah, Halloween 4 and 5, those are like my favorite ones to watch growing up. So that character will always have a special place in my heart. And then Rob Zombie's Halloween, that's another movie. It has like a special place in my heart. So seeing her come back as Annie, I thought that was amazing. Once I found that out, because I didn't know the first like few times I watched Rob Zombie's Halloween, I didn't realize that was Danielle Harris because I was still really young. I was like 9 maybe watching the movie. I had no idea. But once I found out, I was like, oh my God, like, it's Jamie Lloyd. She came back. I was like, that's so cool. And then her playing Mary Beth and like Hatchet 2 and on, she's amazing in those roles. And I love the Hatchet franchise. She's been in so many horror movies. And she's been in so many that I haven't seen because they're more like lesser known. And See No Evil 2, she's great.
I watched that for the first time recently, yeah.
I watched that sometime last year for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't seen actually the first See No Evil. I watched part 2 and I was just because it was on Tubi. I was like watching it, and it was actually around the time I was like compiling this list together, and I was like, it has 2 of my favorites. I'm watching it. Like, so I clicked on it and watched it without watching the first one, and luckily they like recapped everything in the first one.
Yeah, so. And like because the first See No Evil, that's one that like because my dad, he was a big horror fan, and that's why Rob Zombie's Halloween means so much to me because that's one that we watched a lot. Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. So like those movies mean a lot to me, but he was a huge wrestling fan. And we were watching See No Evil because it had Kane in it. We always watched that movie. But I didn't know there was a part 2 until I guess whenever I was in Killer Flicks, that's when I saw it, and I was like, how did I not know there's a part 2 and has Danielle Harris and Catherine Isabel. Wow. And then it has I can't remember her name, but the blonde girl who's in Final Destination 3, she's in that one too. I was like, how did I not know this movie existed? So whenever I watched it, I prefer the second one over the first one. The first one, it kind of has like that music video style, like Saw editing that's like really like jumpy and kind of weird. And it kind of takes me out every time I watch it. But the setting for the first one is pretty cool. It's like at a burned down hotel.
Yeah. I really love that setting for the second one. And I was a big wrestling fan growing up too, so seeing Kane brought back some memories for me. I was like,
oh yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, my dad used to make me watch that all the time, like wrestling stuff. And then we would always play wrestle, like me and my siblings, and he'd be like, tap out, tap out. I'm like, I'm tapping.
Me and a few of my friends would actually go out on the trampoline I have out in my backyard, and we would literally do like our own entrance music. We would do all this stuff. And we would get into it, and I don't even know how we didn't break bones in our bodies because we would literally like do like the no disqualification matches, and grab weapons, and whack each other with them. And like the worst one that happened was where I like got on top of a ladder, and my friend was on like a wooden dock, and I was like being like jumping off and was going to do like, a little thing like that, and then he rolls out of the way, so I just fell around the wood, and that was like,
ouch.
Oh God, that hurt. But yeah. they would always be like, don't try this at home, and we were like, well,
I'm gonna learn these moves to practice.
Too late for that.
Do you remember Boogeyman? Like that?
Yeah, I remember him.
For years, like growing up, I was like, was that a fever dream? Like, did he actually worms? Was that guy real? And like one day I had to Google it because like I completely forgot about it, and then I was like, Boogeyman, look him up right now. And I was like, he was real. I just remember seeing that as a kid and be like, and he used to scare me. Anytime he was on screen, I was like peeking. I was like, I don't like this guy. Yeah, that's just a little side note.
Yeah, he was very much of like him and like Undertaker and stuff, and they were very like horror-esque.
Yeah.
In that in WWE and all that stuff, and Robbie would probably know this, knowing that he's big into wrestling.
Uh-huh.
But apparently Boogeyman came back on like a thing called like Reality of Wrestling or something like that on YouTube.
Really?
And I was watching that, and it was really cool just to see him come back and have like with the worms in his mouth again.
Mm-hmm.
All that. It was just like, oh man,
I'll
brings
have
back.
to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
but
years, I was just like, was that guy real? Like, did I picture that? Oh no, he did do that. Okay, cool. Got
yeah.
it. Got it.
But yeah, Daniel Harris, she's actually like realistically, she's actually like my number two.
Mm-hmm.
But for the sake of this video, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, she is just everything she's in. She's just always amazing, and she also is like the biggest fan of the genre out of like every
Mm-hmm.
queen there is. And she desperately wants to come back to the Halloween franchise. I've heard like
I know.
she said she would love just to come back, and I'm like, have her at least just be like a cameo or something,
Seriously.
just to tease fans. That would just be great.
Exactly. Like,
Um,
obviously, she doesn't have to play Jamie. Like, she could literally play anyone. Like,
yeah,
why does it matter? You do all these nods and references to all these other movies. Like, you can't just bring her back. Just take away the 20 other nods you just did in the movie and bring Daniel Harris back in some way.
exactly. And even as a someone who's not really a fan of Rob Zombie, and Dan says Halloween 2 is his favorite Halloween film. He says he does not, and he says that lightly, considering how much he loves Donald Pleasance as Loomis.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, while I'm not a big fan of Rob Zombie's, I will say that he made what probably is the most emotional death scene in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
Whenever Daniel Harris dies in Halloween 2,
So good.
that
So
was just so masterfully
heartbreaking.
done. And then her father's face, after like he comes in there,
Uh-huh.
it's oh
And
man,
he's just
yeah,
screaming, and I love that it plays, like, you see, like, clips of her, like, younger. Because that's, like, what really hits. Because, like, one day I was, like, watching Halloween 4, and I was like, oh my god, like, it hit me. I was like, I used to watch this in the eyes of Jamie because I was her age, but now, like, I watch it more in the eyes of Rachel because I'm older. But it's like the same thing watching Halloween 2. Like, we've watched her grow up, even though she's older than I am. Still, I've watched her go from young Jamie to this character and her getting killed off. And I like that you don't really see it. Like, you see him, like, coming after her, and it's kind of like the picture, and then it plays it. It's such a well done scene, and it
yeah,
makes me cry. Like, every time I watch it, I can't help myself. Very
yeah.
emotional.
Just the way it's orchestrated and the performances in that scene, they're just
Mm-hmm.
always just that's just always so powerful. And Robbie says that he says his friend and he says my friend and I had a backyard wrestling federation for a few years in high school and into college. So they still have most of the videos. So you have to send me a lot of those videos, Robbie, so I can see that.
Yes.
If you still have access, I need to see that. So yeah. Um he's the biggest wrestling fan. But yeah, I was watching See No Evil 2 and in the Hatchet films, she's amazing in those films too. Those I haven't actually watched Victor Crowley. I've only seen Hatchet 1 through 3, so I
Mm-hmm.
need to see that because I know it's your favorite one. So
It is. Yeah, and I mean, spoiler alert, she has a small cameo in Victor
oh
Crowley. So
yeah,
she's not really in it. It's like a post-credit scene, so make sure you watch it. But it's cool because it shows that she is still alive. Because, three,
yeah,
she gets her fucking ass handed to her. But she does have a little end credit scene to charge my
nice.
phone. But it's still nice to see her in that one.
Yeah. It's sort of like what it's sort of like the whole situation with Ash in the Evil Dead remake. He's only in it for like a very
Yeah,
short time, but
short time.
but that yeah, that's of course an iconic, excellent pick. My number uh, three
Mm-hmm.
is um, one that is she's only really known for this one movie, but like God, she's good. And it's Olivia Hussey in Black Christmas,
Black
the original Black
Christmas,
Christmas.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, she is like she was honestly. I mean, other than Janet Leigh and like knowing it came before
Mhm.
Halloween, she was like really the first definitive final girl, really that kicked it off, and
Mhm.
Jamie Lee Curtis made it popular. But yeah, Olivia Hussey, she was just she man, I watched that movie around the time the remake was coming out again, and as I was watching it, I was like, I've never in my life like been so tense watching a film
Mhm.
because I was so invested in her character. Like she found a way to make me that invested that I've never been so tense watching it because I wanted her so badly just to get
Mhm.
out of there alive. And yeah, just she is easily one of the greatest final girls in film history.
Yeah, she's awesome because she also doesn't have all the same like your typical final girl tropes. Like she's obviously not a virgin; she's pregnant, and I like that the movie is dealing with topics like abortion, and it's set like 1974. That
Yeah,
had been so crazy at the time. Even now, it would still be like, oh, I don't know, but for it to be so early on, and for her character to be going through that, and then she is like sticking her ground. She's saying like, I'm aborting this kid. Like I'm not changing my life plans just because yours changed. She's so strong. And then at the end, even though she knows like they're probably dead, she still goes up there and tries to help them.
yeah.
She she's in it. She's
She's
in
in
it.
it.
1991. Yeah,
Oh,
she
the next
plays
one. Yeah, yeah,
the husband. Yeah, don't you want it? Don't you want it? And she's just staring. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
remember that now.
She's in
Yeah.
that too. But yeah, her character in Black Christmas, she's amazing.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I forgot she was in it, but yeah, she hasn't really done a lot of horror
Mm-mm.
after Black Christmas. But what I loved about her in Black Christmas is she was like so relevant because
Mm-hmm.
of like you watch it today and because of the whole topic of her having to deal with whether or not, she said she wanted to abort this kid and make her
Mm-hmm.
life, her own like that is so relevant to audiences today. Like they watch that and it would still hold up really well for them because
Yeah,
of how we're addressing that topic in today's society. So
yeah,
yeah,
and yeah, her character like that movie, even though it's an older movie, like you said, the topics are still relevant, and I think giving her that because you see like she's not perfect and she's struggling with her own stuff, and that's what makes her feel more real. She doesn't feel like an artificial final girl, and it doesn't seem like they gave her this just to like I don't know have something that makes her stand out. There's just something about her that it just all feels really natural.
yeah. And Dan says Olivia Hussey was Norma Bates in Psycho 4.
And she's also in Ice Cream Man. She
Ice Cream Man?
plays like the crazy one.
Oh, okay. I've never I don't think I've actually ever seen that. So I need to
It has Clint Howard in it. Yeah, she plays like maybe is it like a landlord or something? She like lives there and yeah. And I've only
okay.
seen the first Psycho, but I have heard that she does play her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll have to definitely add Ice Cream Man to my list.
Ice Cream Man. Cheesy fun. What more can you ask for? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what's your number two?
Okay, so my number two, I have Felissa Rose. I adore Felissa Rose so much. Sleepaway Camp is in my top 10 movies. And she's one of those people, like, she really loves the genre. She loves it so much. And her, Kane Hodder, and Tiffany Shepis, they have a podcast together called like Casualty Friday. It's so good, and she just seems like she's the most humble, down to earth person. I've met her twice, and each time she's been great.
Yeah.
She's just incredible, and she loves her fans so much. Like, she's one of a kind. There's no one else as
Oh,
nice as Felissa Rose is. Like, no one can top how she is, because even if she's having a bad day, like, you won't know. She's one of those people. She's just so grateful for everything. And if you ever listen to the podcast, there's been episodes I've made me cry. Or I watched
oh,
the sleepaway camp, like on the special features, like the behind or like the making of, something like that. Towards the end of it, I was crying because she was crying, because she's like, some people
oh,
see it as this little horror film, but it really like was the best experience of my life. And the way she just talks about it, like, she really means it. And she does like so many like smaller projects, and she's been doing more like fan film type stuff, like really small, low budget things. And it's so great to see her do that, because like she's obviously a big name, but she's still in these smaller things, and it really helps. And she was in Victor Crowley, my favorite one. She's amazing that she plays Kathleen. She's so funny. She's hilarious in that movie. You definitely need to watch it. Tiffany Shepis is the
I
best.
want I want to watch that movie because it has Brian Quinn in it from Impractical
Fucking amazing. From
Impractical
Impractical, I
Jokers.
love Impractical Jokers.
I
Whenever
love
I
it so
first
much.
watched that, because I watched it on the last drive-in. It was the first Hatchet movie I had watched because it was on the last drive-in,
Oh yeah.
and I had watched it when it was like premiering, and I was like, even though I haven't seen the other ones, like, whatever, I'll just watch this. When I found out that Q was in it, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no way. That I was taken back, but in the best way possible. I was
Yeah,
so happy to see
I've been
him on there.
I've been on a Impractical Jokers binge for like a while now, and I was just scrolling through IMDb one time. And I saw him on Victor Crowley. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm watching this movie ASAP now because
Um,
I love it.
there was an episode of Impractical Jokers to where like the punishment was like the ski lift challenge, like the ski lift from like Frozen, and so like
Oh
Adam Green
yeah,
had saw like he saw the episode, and he would like was interviewed like, what's your favorite TV show, and he said Impractical Jokers. And so him and Murr kind of got in contact with each other, started talking, and then that like he met the others and stuff too. But when he was writing Victor Crowley, like he wrote that role for Q to be in
wow,
it. And he
that's
did the
great.
same thing with like really all of them. Like the role that Felissa Rose plays, it's like he wrote that role for her. And then Dave Sheridan, he's in it. He's amazing
Oh
in it. He plays
yeah,
Dylan. He's so fucking funny in it. Yeah,
oh man,
you definitely have
yeah,
to watch it. Just if
uh,
you go in knowing like this is nowhere near as like serious, even though it's like a Hatchet movie, which they're already goofy.
yeah,
This is comedic. It's a lot of fun. It's still over the top gory, but it's
oh yeah,
more lighthearted. But if you go in knowing that, I think you'll enjoy it. I'm sure like with people when they watch it the first time, they're like, what the fuck is this? But it being my first one, I thought they were all going to be like that.
yeah.
So it's the one I go back to the most because it makes me laugh so much.
Honestly, that might actually be like the way to watch certain films is to like
Mm-hmm.
start out kind of like with that more lighthearted toned
Uh-huh.
film like that, and then go to
To the more
the more
serious,
serious
yeah,
tone ones because then that way it's not like you don't really have set up standards for yourself. I
exactly.
feel like whenever you watch it
Mm-hmm.
that way, it's kind of just like, oh yeah, that was really fun, and then you watch the other ones, you're like, oh okay, I can respect this different approach. But a lot of people they'll watch them in order, and then it's like that'll make it where they have this
Yeah.
bar set, and if it doesn't match up, then
Yeah, and I understand that because I always hear Victor Crowley's everyone's least favorite. And then for a while it was my least favorite because honestly it's because it was everyone's least favorite. I was like, oh yeah, it's my least favorite too. But then I was like, you know what? I actually really love that movie. I was like, I don't care. It is my favorite actually. And then I've heard a few other people that say it's their favorite. I'm like, cool. Like, obviously, I'm not the only one. That would be insane. But I was like, awesome. It makes me feel better. But I met Felissa Rose and Dave Sheridan at like the same convention, and I got my Victor Crowley Blu-ray signed, and so that was like our main
Ooh, nice.
point of discussion was like we're talking about Victor Crowley, and they're like asking me about it, like, did you like the way, like the tone shifted and stuff? Like, not everyone's a fan of that. And I was like, I really loved it, like. And I
Yeah.
told him like it was my first one to see, and maybe that has something to do with it. And I'm sure it is, but it's the one I find myself like if I just need to put on a movie that I don't really have to pay attention to, but I can still like look over and be like, oh, cool, I put on Victor Crowley. It's like one of my newer like comfort movies because every time I've heard the jokes so many times now. I made my like 7-year-old brother watch it with me one day. I was babysitting him. I was like, we're gonna watch this movie, and he really liked it too.
Hey, that's awesome. I mean, hey, if it's lighthearted like that, that probably would appeal more to a lot younger
Yeah, there's
audiences.
only one scene that like made him jump back, and that made me laugh. But it was only one scene out of out of all of it. He was laughing at it. He was
It
having
was
a
funny. I
great
remember
time.
the most recent time I watched a horror movie with my sister. We were watching Lights Out, and it was like I was watching that
Oh,
for the first time, and she was like under the covers the whole time, and it's like it's like and I was watching the screen. I was like, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I was just doing that. I wasn't like scared. I was just like, yeah, that's cool. I like that. And my sister was just like, oh, with the
Oh
covers.
God, I remember that trailer being released for Lights Out, and I had closed out work. It was super late. Like my boss, he was like giving me a ride home, so we were like the last ones there. And I was like sitting on the desk waiting for him to finish up, and I see this trailer. It's called Lights Out, and I was like, "Ooh, what's that?" I should not have done that because I had to go home alone. I was terrified because like that's something I'm super scared of. Paranormal, anything to do with like women, especially like her body.
The
Oh
way
my
it just
God.
like moved, like
The
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I was so scared. I did not
yeah.
want to be home alone. I had the lights on, like my bedroom light on. I went to sleep with that on. I was like, I'm terrified right now. So scary. That's a really good movie. I like it. And it's
It,
PG-13.
it is, yeah, yeah. That's one of the very few examples of like where PG-13 horror movie was just
Mm-hmm.
really, really good. That
It is good.
Happy Death Day, Final Girls, yeah. There's a few, but
Uh-huh.
but that was one of the few examples of it. And I uh I actually watched the short film afterwards because I loved it.
Uh-huh.
Which I checked that out afterwards, and that was great. But yeah, it's that movie. If I watched it by myself, I think I would have actually been more scared. But because I was watching it with my sister, and just watching her be scared was just kind of
Yeah.
more fun for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think it was like payback for you for scarring me for Final Destination 3 all those years ago. So
Yeah. That's your payback. Sorry. You're like, I don't feel bad about this at all. I'm just
yeah,
gonna laugh.
but yeah, I can definitely understand that. Like, there's been some movies where it was like I think it was at like 3 or 2 a.m. and it was like at night. I was all by myself when I first watched Paranormal Activity, and that was a bad
Yeah.
choice to me.
That one got me the first time I watched it. Really, like,
Yeah,
I like all of them except for Ghost Dimension. Ghost
yeah.
Dimension?
I
Yeah,
watched that.
Ghost Dimension.
I watched that for the first time this October, and yeah,
Yeah. I could still like rewatch it. Like I've rewatched it a few times, even though like I don't think it's that good. I still have fun with it, but it's not really it's not
yeah.
scary. It's not nearly as good as the others.
The only one of like the newer trilogy of films that I think is actually kind of underrated is Marked Ones.
I
I
love marked ones,
Yeah, I really enjoy that one.
especially
But
the ending.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the ending. I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" I was like, "This is crazy. I love it." That one was so good.
that was. But speaking of meeting Felicia Rose, I actually saw at a like a little horror con that supposedly is still happening in person on like May 29th or something in North Carolina, which is like it's in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is only like 3 hours away from me.
Oh hell yeah.
I was looking at the special guests, and she was on there, and I was just like, and it was like, I was like, okay, how many are tickets? And the tickets were only like $40 for a whole like a weekend ticket, and I think you did have to pay a little bit extra for a photo op. But
Yeah.
I was like, that would totally be worth it, and then that way I don't have to always be jealous every time I'm looking at you and a
I
picture of you
know,
here.
because like
Stuff. Yeah,
everyone needs to meet her at least once, and
yeah,
she's one of those like I will probably meet her like at anyone that she goes to that I go to, like I'm a meter. I don't care how many times I've met her, just because like she's just so nice, and then like her prices aren't bad at all to meet her. Her signature like
oh yeah,
it's like $30, and I feel like that's probably her standard for like autograph and a picture with her. Some celebrities it's like 50 up to like $100. Hers is like 30, and like even that right there, like you can
yeah,
price whatever you want, but she does $30. Like that's not a lot, and to me that just shows like she doesn't. It's not so much about the money. Like she does that to help people. Yeah, she's amazing.
yeah. Yeah, that's awesome to hear, and she's just amazing. She's also just an amazing actress. Like Sleepaway Camp is also one of my favorite slashers, and I haven't actually seen the sequels actually, but I'm kind of worried too because I love the first Sleepaway Camp so much, but I
Yeah.
but I but she was amazing in that, and the twist at the end was really
Crazy.
solid. But
Oh, it was so cool the first time I met her. Because she asked me about like, oh, like how did you hear the movie? And I was like, I actually heard from like Dead Meat, like his kill count. And she was like, oh, I love James and Chelsea. She's like, I got invited to their wedding when it like happens. And I was like, you got invited to their wedding? I was like, that's so cool. I was like, y'all are that close. I was like, that's amazing.
you
I
were
was like
probably
freaking out.
you were probably like, can you give him a recommendation for me?
Yeah.
Can
I love weddings. I
I?
won't be weird. I just like weddings. Invite me. It's like I would love to come. I was like, that's just so cool. I was like, you're
Yeah,
just awesome. I want her to
that,
be my aunt. Like, she's like your perfect aunt figure.
oh,
I just want her to be my aunt so bad. Yeah.
it, in that, in that still picture of you and her beside each other, you actually in that picture look a little bit like her. I've actually thought.
Dude,
I don't know if like you ever
it's
got
probably the hair, the dark hair.
it
That's
might be. It might be.
but it was in like the first time I met her, it was the one with me wearing like the Judy shirt, which I had to make myself the night before the convention because I had ordered one and it didn't come in. So I had to like make my own shirt. I was like freaking out. I was like, I have to have this. It's my first convention. Like it has to go perfect. But then the second time I met her, she remembered me. She's like, "Oh, Judy, I remember you." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh my god." I was like freaking out. I was looking at my boyfriend. I was like, "She remembers me. What do I say?" I was like, "How do I react to that?" But it's like, how do you? She remembers so many faces. She recognizes like I was listening to her like talk to people. I'm like, that's just so cool that because like most people would be like, "Who are you?" You know, but she can somehow remember her fans and she appreciates them. So yeah, if you can
Yeah,
meet
that's
her.
awesome. Oh yeah, I I love that. That's just great. So my number two is I actually. What's funny is you actually stole one of mine, so I actually have to. So I was looking through this list here of other ones to do, but my number two I'm gonna have as Emma Roberts because she was in a Scream 4.
Mm-hmm.
She was in The Black Coat's Daughter, Scream Queen.
Dream Queen,
Um,
yes.
that show. She's been in. She's been in a lot of prevalent horror stuff.
Mhm.
and everything that I've seen with her in it is just incredible. Scream 4 is like my second favorite movie of that franchise. She just
Mhm.
the plot twist with her was just really great. And Black Coat's Daughter is one of the most kind of most tension filled eerie films I've seen in quite a while,
Mhm.
and she was just remarkable in that as well. So, um, yeah, what are your thoughts on?
Yeah, I really like Emma Roberts. Everything I've seen her in, she was in American Horror Story, a bunch
Yeah,
of seasons of that too. Um, I really like Coven, and I think that's when she first comes in to American Horror Story. No, I think she is in the first one. I can't remember now.
there's so many seasons of that
I know
show.
there's so
I
many,
I
but
get I get lost.
there's a lot, and they're still coming. But yeah, her in American Horror Story, Scream Queens. I love her as Chanel #1. She's like one of the best characters in that show. And then Scream 4, I like Scream 4 and I love the Scream franchise. It's like my favorite franchise. Scream 4 is probably my least favorite because I grew up with the first 3 like constantly. But
Yeah,
Scream 4 was the first one that like I could remember being shocked by because I feel like the other 3 were like implanted in my brain. It's like I don't remember a time not knowing who the killers were, and I guess just from watching them growing up. But Scream 4 was finally like a new one for me to like watch it with those like Scream eyes. And then when she was revealed to be the killer, I was shocked. I still remember that day watching it. So it's like the only Scream movie to where like the reveal really took me back. And that when she does that little change and she's like beating herself up to make it look like she was attacked, that's a painful scene to watch. Her jumping into
that is.
that table, oh, every
Oh,
time it hurts me.
yeah, that was honestly the only Scream movie that like I honestly didn't predict the killer right.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only time I ever experienced that, and that's probably why I dug it so much, or one of the
Yeah,
reasons why I dug it so much is because of that. But I remember being so upset that Hayden Panettiere's character Kirby was died in that
yeah.
movie. I
Well,
was loved to have seen
she could still be alive. So I'm gonna.
Squiggles. It is.
Wes Craven tweeted himself that she was still crawling away when you last see her. So I'm
Oh,
hopeful that she comes back in a Scream movie. If it's not in this new one, because obviously like this isn't going to be the only Scream movie they do. I'm
yeah,
hoping in one of them she somehow comes back because she was one of the
yeah.
best characters in the franchise, not even just in that movie.
Oh
She
yeah,
she's amazing.
she is incredible in that too. But yeah, that was just an amazing thing, and I'm sure. Uh, Let me see, but I'm pretty sure we've listed all the horror stuff Emma Roberts was in. But yeah, she's. Have you actually seen Black Coat's Daughter?
I have not. I have not, but
That
I've heard
yeah,
mixed things about it, but mainly good things.
Lee loves it.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So he
he's
really
the
loves
first
it.
one I've heard like talk about it. I think
Yeah,
before I joined Killer Flicks.
he and I really agree on that. But also she was in The Hunt too. I remember
Yeah,
that.
The Hunt.
Yeah, which
Like
was also
sweatpants or something. Yoga
yeah,
pants.
yeah, Yoga Pants.
Yoga
Yeah,
pants.
which was a really big shock with her character in that because we
Yeah,
just like did not see that coming at
like
all.
we're being shot at. What?
Yeah, that
Dead.
was. Mostly it's just because like you cast someone as big as Emma Roberts and then you just kill her off like that. It was just
Yep.
crazy.
Psycho
Um,
treatment.
but yeah, so she is my #2 and is really great. But man, I had like a whole list as I'm looking at it now. I had like a whole list of like other possible names to put on there.
Uh
So
huh.
she's just like one of the bunch I had this play eeny meeny miny mo with and put her in there. But
I know
because
there's so many
all these
just
ones.
amazing ones.
There are.
All
What would be
right.
your king or queen?
My
I guess.
my
Then
king
we'll-
or
yeah.
and or queen would be Nev Campbell. Mainly because Sydney is my favorite final girl, my favorite movie. I I just love Sydney so much. She's she's pretty much like always been one of my favorites, and I've almost always preferred her over Lori. And I feel like Sydney and Lori are really like the main two, and Nancy. But I always hear like Sydney and Lori, and I really love Sydney because she's not weak, but she has like those moments where you see her breaking down, but she's still so strong. And especially like her progression through each movie, I really like to see. And then even in the third one, like she's not in the third one as much as you would probably think, or like a lot of her like story, she's just like off to herself. But
Yeah.
her final like showdown in Scream 3 is one of my favorites with her and Robin when they're like screaming at each other. I love that part, and I love her going
Yeah.
against him. It's like one of my favorite scenes in the whole franchise. But I don't know, I've always loved Sydney, and like her story really like resonates with me, and she's just always been like I guess like a role model for me. I don't know. I can't say enough like good things about her.
Nev Campbell, she was my 5th ever celebrity crush.
Fifth, awesome.
Because it went Amy. I think it was Amy Jo Johnson, who played the Pink Power Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah.
When I was a young kid, it was her first, and then it was Natalie Portman because of the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah.
When I was growing up with those, and then it was Keira Knightley because I grew up with Pirates of the Caribbean, and then I remember at one point it was Rachel McAdams because of Mean Girls. I was so like,
I love Mean Girls.
yeah, then like I had a major crush on her after watching Mean Girls, and then once I was still like once I was like a preteen, and I watched Scream for the first time, then that was like Nev Campbell was like my main crush around that time, and I loved her, and I actually have something I haven't told very many people before because it's kind of I was young, I was a stupid kid at the time, but I remember there was that movie she was in. I think it was called Wild Things.
Wild Things.
Like that.
Yeah.
And I remember
with Denise Richards.
back in the day because I didn't really have access to internet. I used that movie
Oh my god.
as my first porn because
You said, I haven't told many people this. Let me just say this on the internet.
yeah,
for everyone watching.
I'll just say this for everyone who's gonna watch this that I used that as my first, piece of pornography because of the lesbian scene in that movie and stuff like that. And I was
Thank you for sharing your story. I like it. I like your story.
Thank you. But but yeah, back when I was a kid, I was just so obsessed with Nev Campbell, and even today, I am still like just love her, and I love that. I love that she's like the one final girl that's like literally been consistently in like every single film or franchise, which is really awesome to see. And she was in that movie with Dwayne Johnson I saw recently called Skyscraper. Yeah, I watched that and I was just like, I'm like, man, you're still looking fine at this age.
She does,
like,
yes.
like,
she looks good.
Good. She
And
does.
then I love her in The Craft as well. I really like her character because she's like, she's all like concealed because like her body's all like burned up, like all her scars and stuff. Then once it like heals up, and that scene of her walking in, like taking off her jacket, like she just looks so confident. But like that's how she really looks. You're like, damn, she looks so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
Robbie said that's why the tent scene is so memorable for me. At least you can relate. So
Now we know. Now
going
we
back
know
to the
why
scene.
it's so important to him.
Yeah, yeah,
Understandable. Very graphic scene. So yeah.
yeah. Um, Dan says Wild Things is not bad for porn. I've had weirder things I've used personally.
Interesting.
Okay, interesting. Well, you'll have to tell me
I
about that in
may
private.
or may not want to hear them.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. But yeah, as a kid, I was like, hey, I don't have access to the internet. I'm just
You
gonna
gotta
use this
do what you
movie.
gotta do
You gotta do what you gotta do.
to
Yeah,
get
so,
the work done.
yeah.
That's all that matters.
But yeah, if I ever met her in real life, I would not tell her that story.
Don't bring it up like at all. Make
No.
sure you erase it from your mind so it just
Yeah,
doesn't come up.
yeah.
You'd be
Not
like, get
just like
away from me now. You'd be like, I
yeah,
understand. Bye. I love you. Bye.
yeah. If I met her, I don't know if I'd be able to control myself too much. It's sort of like how someone, you know, said I should like try to get you in front of Amy Jo Johnson or something like that. I'd be like, I would not be able to control myself if I met her.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
Yeah,
I'd rather just not put myself through that.
yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah, Nev Campbell is she's personally actually my number one choice as well. I love her so much in the Scream movies and just everything she's in. But my number one for the sake of this video is going to be my girl from my favorite werewolf movie, Ginger Snaps, which is Catherine Isabel. Um, she was, yeah, she's in my favorite werewolf movie of all time. She also is in See No Evil 2.
Mm-hmm.
She was in American Mary. She was in Torment. So she's been in several really great horror movies. And every role she's in, she's just a different like character, just like so drastically different. I just love
Mm-hmm.
seeing every character she plays, and she's just every character is just super relatable, especially in like Ginger Snaps and stuff, which is um, which have you seen Ginger Snaps?
I have not. And
You
that
have
one's
not.
really high on my watch list.
Yeah,
Because that's a movie, like, I know I'll love it.
because I remember, yeah, I remember watching, I think another video you were in, and I think I heard you mention that you didn't see Ginger Snaps, and I was just sort of like,
I know.
I dropped what I was eating at the time. I was like,
There's a lot of those movies that I'm like
yeah,
almost scared to say that I haven't seen.
yeah,
That's one of them.
yeah.
I will.
But I mean, hey, I get flack for having it above. You know, I love American Werewolf in London, but I get flack for having it a notch above that because I just love Ginger Snap so much. But yeah, Catherine Isabel, she's such a fan of the actual genre too. She says that like horror is just what she just really gravitates towards every time that she gets work. And so I'm just excited to see what she does next in the genre she brings forth next. And so yeah, I really love her, and she's one of the best those scream queens in all of horror.
Yeah, she brings like a certain like energy to each role, because like you said, like a lot of her characters, they are different from each other. And then like Freddy versus Jason, she doesn't have a huge role in it, but like her playing Gib, I feel like she's like the most memorable character from that movie. Even growing up, I could always remember her specifically. I really love her in that. And then I can't remember which, she's in a Carrie movie, and it's either the Rage Carrie 2 or like the Carrie remake, not like the 2013 one, but like the 2000 one.
Oh, yeah,
she may be in that one.
Yeah, I never saw that one, but the TV.
I think she's in that. She's in one of them, I want to say. But yeah, she's awesome. I really love her in See No Evil too, because she just like doesn't care. She's just doing whatever. And that scene
Yeah.
with Kane it's pretty funny. Watching it, I was like, oh my god, what are you
Yeah, I was watching. I
doing?
was just like, oh no. I'm like
Oh
this is not right. This is so not right. It's like
no.
it's not necrophilia, but it's like
It's almost there.
almost there on that level. It's just sort of just like a notch below. It's like,
Uh-huh. And
duh.
that scene with her hiding, like she has a really great like scared face. In that scene, and she's like hiding. She's like, you know, she looks
Oh
terrified, and you can really see it in her face. She does a great job in that movie.
oh, I'm sure she does. Dan says, speaking of the one Carrie movie I haven't seen, he says the 2002 version of Carrie is
2002.
so bad. Yeah, he does not. He's not a fan of that. So apparently,
Yeah, I've only seen the kill count. I get a lot of shit for doing that, but I've only seen the kill count, so that's how I know she's even in one of them that she's in, because I
yeah.
kill
I
count.
which reminds me, I was watching one of the Sinister Reviews videos with you in it, and you said that you only saw the kill count for the Lighthouse, and I'm just like, well, you like just ruined that entire movie for you.
Look, I know that I do it. I know I do, but I just can't help myself. It's like dead meat video. I have to watch it. I don't care
Yeah,
what it is. I'm like, I'm gonna watch it. There, I ruined a lot of movies for. I ruined Sleepaway Camp for myself. I did it.
yeah.
Ready or Not, I watched it before I watched the movie. Didn't have to. It just came out, but I was like, I'm gonna watch it. Yeah. There's
I I can relate.
I can't help myself. But the girl that plays Carrie in the 2002 one, I actually just watched the kill count for The Last Shift. I don't know if you watched that or not, but I heard that movie is really good. I
Oh
want to
yeah,
see it,
yeah. I,
but
I yeah, I saw that the kill count was posted. I haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
yeah. But the girl that plays Carrie in the 2002 one, she plays like the main girl in The Last Shift. Because I was watching it, I was like, she looks so familiar, and it like gets mentioned, she plays Carrie, and I was like, that's what it is. Yeah. So
Nice. And we'll probably get some shit too on this stream for not mentioning Sissy Spacek in the original Carrie. But
yeah, she was
we'll
in the
give
thumbnail,
we'll give
clickbaiting people.
yeah, but we'll give her a shout out. So
Oh yeah, amazing. Has one
yeah.
of the best faces. Just the best face she does with her eyes. It's like, and I hate really saying like iconic, but like she is iconic. Like that scene in Carrie. Again, even if you don't watch horror movies, you still know that scene in Carrie, and you still know the pig's blood, and you still know like her eyes and the way she looks.
Oh yeah.
It's an amazing moment in horror history.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely one of the best. So real quick, I thought I would give these a shout out because it's not very often that you get women directors in horror. So I wanted to real quick just go through some women horror directors that we really that really um, got us to love the genre, really got us to love their work, and really are just amazing directors for that specific genre. And so I guess I'll let you go first on that.
Okay, want me to just list them like one at a time, like as you go back and forth?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, so I'll just start off with Karen Kusama. She directed Jennifer's Body. Again, my second favorite movie, so have to mention that. She is amazing, and I haven't seen The Invitation yet, and I've heard it's really good. So that one's on my watch list because she did it as well. But yeah, like I said before, I love Jennifer's Body, so I of course had to mention her. And then I mentioned Diablo Cody earlier. That's another woman. She's a writer, but still she made Jennifer's Body, so have to shout her out too. It's always great to see a woman writer and a director. Like that's just because
Yeah,
it's kind of rare for like both sides. Really, even now it's still kind of rare, but to see them like both, it's
yeah,
just awesome.
yeah. It's so great because there's only like 20% of the industry is that's or like 12%, something small like that is actually women. So whenever you see something like that, it's actually really empowering to see that on screen. And I knew before you even chose it because I was like going through. I was like, she is going to choose the Jennifer's Body director,
Yes,
and
you
then
know
you
I
did,
have
and I was
to.
like, yes, that makes sense. But yeah, I definitely recommend The Invitation because that is that movie blew me away. That
Hmm.
was so great. So yeah, I definitely recommend that one when you get a chance.
I will look
Mine,
for it. Yes.
mine is going. One of mine, my number three is going to be. I hope I don't mispronounce her name. Julia Ducournau. Ducournau. I
I'm
don't know
sure
how
that's
you say her name.
exactly how you say it.
Okay, I hope so. Because if you ever do watch this video, I butchered your name.
You sorry.
Um, but she did an incredible job with Raw, which is a
Ooh.
which was it a I think it was a French film. Yeah,
Yeah, I've
and
heard of it.
and yeah, it was a French film about this girl who it's coming of age film, but
Hmm.
she discovers she's a cannibal,
Yeah.
and it was one of those films that like when it came out, it was everyone was freaking out and fainting and all
Yeah.
this stuff. But it was one of those things where people were really um like uh said that it was an intense experience. So I watched it with a friend of mine. I was like, can't be that bad, and that movie fucked me up. It
Yeah.
was yeah, and she also directed one episode of M Night Shyamalan's Servant on Apple TV
Ooh.
Plus, which is a series that M Night Shyamalan is running, and she directed one of the episodes, and that is a show I've been binge watching. So um, that's another horror thing she directed. But yeah, she did a really good job on both of those, and she has a film coming up again, but it's not horror. But it is something cool to see that she's going to be working here
Hmm.
on another film soon. So
Yeah,
uh,
Raw's on my watch list. I listened to a podcast
yeah,
called like Sinister Sisters, and they were talking about that movie, and they said it was like pretty gruesome, but they really enjoyed it because they were talking about like women in horror and stuff, and like women directors, and so that one's on my watch list. But I heard it was pretty gruesome, so
oh yeah, definitely
and
is.
like movies like that, I'm really squeamish, so I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's one of those movies that isn't even like it's not like overdone or like
mhm,
not like one of those movies that's like excessively gory. But
mhm,
it's one of those movies that's like it might actually kind of be light on the gore, but it's because of just the way that it feels a lot more realistic
uh-huh.
in gore that just makes you kind of squirmish a little bit because you're like, oh no, I don't want that.
Yeah,
That
I
is
don't
just
want to see it.
really you're like, I don't want to see that. That looks too real and too
Mm,
not, yeah.
yay. I will watch it, but it might take me some time.
Yeah, have a barf bag handy just in
Yeah,
case.
I will. I will. I will have to. I've done that quite a few times. Okay. So for my second one, I have Amy Holden Jones, Slumber Party Massacre. And really the
Oh,
in my second one, I'll just mention her too because I really just wanted to mention Slumber Party Massacre franchise like as a whole, even though I don't know who directed the third one. But it's all like written and directed by women, and I think that's awesome to
yeah,
have like all of the movies. Because then they're also like feminist movies, but they're not like overly feminist movies. It's more like subtle in a way. But to have them all be directed by women, that's just amazing. Because like, how often do you see that? An entire franchise, like
sure.
that's rare. That's rare now, and that was
Yeah,
like in the '80s.
especially at that especially at that time,
Hmm.
during the 80s, like you were lucky if there was any women really
Yeah.
working in that around that time. So knowing that whole franchise was pretty much written and directed by women was like really exciting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And they talk about like, because like the movies, even though they're written directed by women, like they're still on the sleazy side. Like there's still a ton of nudity. There's still like a lot of that, like those lingering shots, and the way like they talk about it, they're like, yeah, that's what you have to do to make the movie. It's like you still have a movie to sell, and that's what sells. And it's like, why is it okay for all these male directors to be doing the same thing and they don't get ridiculed for it? But because I'm a woman, I'm supposed to be better than that. But that's not how like real life works. It's like just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I can take all the nudity out of the movie. Like that's not how this
Yeah.
works. And I like seeing that because it's true. It's like, yeah, this guy over here doesn't get shit for it because it's okay if he does it, but because if I'm doing it, I'm expected to not have that. Like, no.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a lot more um like of a more comfortable experience if a woman is directing another woman into like a nudity scene
Yeah,
than than
yeah,
men are, because men can often be perverted when it comes to that. So while a woman, it would be kind of like more comfortable, it would be like that case of being more comfortable
yeah.
in their own skin and stuff like that.
100%.
So,
Yeah. They
yeah,
even did something like that in Candyman when Virginia Madsen is like stripping down in the police scene. The cop is her best friend. And they did that because like that made her feel more comfortable having to undress because she's undressing in front of her friend, someone she knows. It's like the same thing. I would much rather be in front of a woman than some male and get naked.
yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, yeah. Here, I mean, we were just talking about it, but Keira Knightley said she's never going to film movie scenes anymore for male directors. She's only going to do it for female directors now, and
Hmm.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that it's just like with you know uh, the same thing with a guy with guy nudity. It's the same thing with
Hmm.
girl nudity. It's like you feel kind of more comfortable in your own skin than
Hmm.
you know than opposite.
Definitely.
My number two is kind of cheating because it's technically two directors, and but because they always work together as a duo,
Hmm.
I thought it would be fitting, and it's the Soska sisters, Jen Soska and Sylvia Soska, who is known for See No Evil 2. They're known for American Mary, Rabid. They've done so many great horror movies, and these girls are just like, it's just great to have a like Coen Brothers type um, duo of
Hmm.
just women writing and directing horror and bringing it to our screen and letting us just enjoy it, and just it's just so empowering. They are just they're really great too at making
Hmm.
at crafting stories, at just making a like American Mary is like one of the greatest horror movies the of that decade. So yeah, it's just those two are really really awesome.
I definitely need to check out. I haven't seen American Mary. It's another one that I'm like, I know I haven't, but I mean, like I said, I love See No Evil too, and I prefer it over the first one. The movie just it looks great, and there's a lot of like eerie shots in it. Like they know what they're doing, and like you said, it's awesome to see a duo, because again, like that, I feel like I don't really see that too often, and I love when people like are working together to make a project and they're both passionate. And I think that's awesome. So
That is awesome.
excited to see what else they come out with.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very excited about that. And since you listed off your number two, I'll just list off my number one. My number one, which is Jennifer Kent for the Babadook
Oh yeah.
and The Nightingale.
Mhm.
She did both those movies, and she just is, in my opinion, the greatest horror director working today. She just knows. just how to craft a film perfectly. She just is such a good storyteller. And I actually saw The Nightingale in theaters, and there's a scene in that film that disturbed me so much. I had to look away. It lasts for like 15 minutes
Oh my
or
god.
20 minutes, and it's just like it just keeps going and going and going, and it gets significantly worse and worse and worse as it goes.
Oh,
And you
is
can
it
get you can get the idea because it's a rape revenge.
I would say, is it a rape scene? Because that's kind of
Yeah,
what it
and it's like
sounds like.
it lasts for like 15 minutes of the film.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps going, and it gets
Oh.
significantly darker and significantly worse as it goes. And I'm like just sitting there, and it was like me, my friend, and like maybe two other people in the theater,
Oh god.
and I was just like, um, I had to like look away through like
Whoa.
most of that scene because I was like, if I don't look away, I'm walking out of the theater.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I want to stay for this movie, but I'm walking out if I don't look away because it was that hard to watch. But
Jeez.
that's what made it so effective. And I kind of got mad at that movie because the bad guy kind of gets it too easy in the end.
Ah.
You know, it was one of those
Yeah.
things that was sort of like you should have been kind of torn them to limb, but
Yeah.
you know,
Like torture this person.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it was one of those things that I was just and Sam Claflin, I've seen him in like the Hunger Games and other movies like I think he was in the second Hunger Games movie and he was in like a
What
anti-
one does he play in the Hunger Games?
he played what's the guy's name? He was the like Finnick, I think is what it was or something like that.
Is he the one that has like his hair like pulled back and he has like a little ponytail?
He
I
might
don't know. That's a good description.
he might be.
Because I'm trying to think if it's because I haven't seen that movie, but I'm trying to think of like which character from Hunger Games would is he also the same one that's from the Lovely Bones, or is that someone else?
Hold up. I'm on IMDb right now and
Okay.
I'll look him up, but um he is
Finnick.
he might be in he played Finnick Odair in Hunger Games. And let's see if I can find a picture of him in that movie. I don't know if they have a picture of him from like other films, but I don't see him from Hunger Games. But this is pretty much what he looks like. It right there, if you can see it.
Oh, yeah, that's not at all who I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Who does he even? I'll have to look it up afterwards because I used
yeah.
to love the Hunger Games. I can't even recognize them.
Well, he had blonde hair in that movie too, so I don't know if that would have. I don't know. If that would
Oh,
have
maybe he was from like District 1 or District 2.
yeah, he might have been.
If he was one of like the like higher class people. Here we are talking about the Hunger Games. Our
um,
little tangent. Huh.
yeah,
I'll have to like Google them.
but yeah, I was into those growing up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But watching this movie though, he plays the rapist in
Mm-hmm.
Nightingale. He was like one of those things where I was like watching it, and I'm like, I can never watch something that you're in the same way again. Like it was one of those.
It's
It was one of
hard.
those. It was one of those performances where I'm like, I'm gonna watch you now. I'm just gonna think of you in this role. That's
Yeah.
why it would just be the worst to be like a male and be casted in a role like
As
that.
that, yeah, as
It's
that
just sort of
character.
like
It's like I'm not like this.
people are going to look at you differently, and it's awful.
Dude,
So yeah,
freaking Damien from Mean Girls. He plays one of the rapists in the I Spit on Your Grave remake, and I didn't know that until like last year because I
yeah,
had watched the remake and I just didn't recognize him. But then I was looking at like just people who were in that movie. I was like, oh my god! I was like, I freaked out. I was like, my Damien from Mean Girls plays that guy. It's like if I would have watched it in reverse, I don't know how I would watch Mean Girls. But now it's like
oh
if I
yeah,
watch I Spit in Your Grave, I'm just like, just think about Mean Girls. Don't think about what he's doing now. Because it's just so crazy to see. I was like, the guy that's singing freaking Beautiful, He's the
Yeah,
rapist in this movie. Like, what the fuck?
I know.
Super weird.
I mean, hey,
Weird jump.
this is like Ted Levine in Silence of the Lambs. He ruined his. He didn't ruin his career, but it took him years to get another role after playing Buffalo Bill. So,
Hmm. Hey,
um,
he was amazing in freaking Hills
yeah,
Have Eyes.
yeah, this is
Yeah,
true.
I didn't know that was him for the longest time either. Then I realized it, and I was just like, "What the?" I was like, "Buffalo Bill, that's you?" It was like Big Bob. It's like, no way.
He was in a detective show I love called Monk, and and he was played one of the chief police
Uh huh.
people there, and I was just like, I'm like, oh my lord, it's you, and you're actually in like a good role.
You're like, oh my god. It's I love like when you like
Yeah.
figure stuff like that out. It's just like, how did I not know this?
Um, but yeah, so she did that, which was one of the most uh, brilliant films of the last decade. But she also did The Babadook, which
Uh huh.
is the most like just a beautiful uh, story on motherhood
Mhm.
and like how far you would go to defend your kid. And the monster in that is just always just
Mhm.
fantastic, like and scared me when I first saw it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so she's done an amazing job. And have you seen both of those movies or?
I've seen the Babadook. Yes,
Okay,
it's not Nightingale,
yeah,
but I did enjoy the Babadook, and it was really sad because like
yeah,
I lost my dad, and to see like the way it really affected them, it really hit on a personal note for me, and just to see her struggle with like everything she's battling, and I really the ending was really beautiful because it's like that doesn't go away, but you can help it, like that hurt will never go away, but there are ways for you to cope, and so I really liked the ending. I thought it
yeah.
was really nice.
Yeah, that is a really nice movie. You make me really want to rewatch that again now. I want to see
Right.
it. And it's so weird because like every time like someone um talks to me about the Nightingale, they're like, "Should I see that movie?" And I'm like, because I loved it. I gave it like 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was a
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal film, but I watched it. And I'm like, I I don't know if I
I don't.
recommend it. It's like
Yeah, it's
one
like
of those things
proceed
that
with caution.
it's just
Watch it
kind
at
of
your own risk.
yeah, it's really hard to like recommend those type of movies.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
think so too. It's like I don't want to tell someone like, "Oh, you have to see Last House on the Left." Like, you
yeah,
just have to see it. It's like
yeah,
you like this is what it's about, and if you can watch it, then watch it. But like, if you can't, then like just don't, because movies like that are really hard to stomach,
yeah, yeah,
especially if it's just like going on and on and on. It just like doesn't stop. They're hard to get through.
they are. Um, but my last thing I want to say is or ask you
Okay.
is I've been studying a lot of stuff recently over the month, and apparently back in the day, Roger Ebert, who is a fantastic film critic, he criticized he while he does like love Halloween. I think he was one of the critics that loved Halloween. He has criticized a lot of the horror genre, and also a lot of other critics are saying it's getting better at this, but it still like needs work on the
Mhm.
front of how the horror genre treats women. And I was wanting to kind of get your take on that, on how you think that it kind of.
Hmm. It's really interesting because I don't know. Like I've never really seen the horror genre like I've never read it as like degrading to women, even though there are certain movies that are like that, and it's usually because like women are usually the victims, and usually like they get naked and then they die, and that's kind of like the thing for it. But I've kind of read it like opposite because like there are final guys, of course, but final girls. it's usually like always about final girls, and it's always about this woman somehow defeating the villain. So I've always seen the horror genre like really uplifting towards women, even of like something like even like the kill count yesterday. It was about Pieces, and like Pieces, that movie, it's like a good example of like treating women just like whatever, and even like the direction, like the way he was kind of like talking about the women, I was just like, oh, that's kind of not that good. It's like stuff like that. It sucks to see because it's like even though like I liked Pieces, like I thought it was a fun movie. That is like the most like that's an egregious example of how women can be treated in the horror genre. But I think overall, I find it more uplifting and I find it more empowering, and I love hearing like women talk about their experiences on sets, and sometimes it's not always good, but I don't necessarily think like yeah, there's some stuff that it is just because they're women, and I really love like hearing like the topic of like nudity and horror, because I always find that interesting because like yeah, usually if you watch a horror movie, if it's like especially a slasher, like someone's most likely going to get naked, that's just how it goes. So it's always interesting to hear like people talk about their experiences with movies like that. But then you have someone who's like Linnea Quigley who will just get naked like it's nothing. And then if you watched In Search of Darkness too, like she said, you know, instead of being like a woman who's getting naked and then you're like making it a big deal, like, oh my God, like don't look at me. If you're on the other end and you just own it and embrace it, like then it people aren't gonna look at it as weird. And so I know some people could see, you know, like nudity as like degrading, but I see it on the opposite end. I think if you're able to get naked in front of a camera, and I know a lot of people, especially like if they did like some low budget 80s movie, like most of the time they're not too proud of what they did, but I always find that really empowering and I love it. I'm
Yeah.
like, because someone like me, I used to be like the most awkward, weird. Like as soon as I hit puberty, I was like, don't even look at me. It's like don't do it. I'm so awkward. But kind of watching this and like listening to more people tell the stories, I'm like, oh okay, like it doesn't seem like that big of a deal anymore. And I think nowadays we're seeing more like male nudity too. So it's not just women. And I feel like now stuff like that, it's just more accepting. It's not seen as such, you know, like, oh, she took her top off, whatever. I had a teacher who was in a movie that she wasn't very proud of, and she got really like upset when people would talk about it, and she takes off her top in the movie, and like I could never tell her this because like I don't think she would want to hear it, but I would just like to tell her like, you know, you may not be proud of it and you may, you know, hate when people bring it up, but I think it's like the coolest thing ever. Like you're in a movie, yeah, you took off your top, but who cares? Like it doesn't matter, because I don't see horror in a degrading way. I think it's uplifting, empowering. You usually see more final girls, and like that's so awesome to see final girls, and it's something I think for the most part it's more of like a male oriented audience, but there's so many females in horror movies, and we really rely on females in horror movies, and without such strong characters, like the genre would not be the way it is.
Yeah. That was that
Yeah.
was that was very well said. And Destiny's Teacher, if you watch this video on YouTube, now
If
you
you ever
know.
see it,
If you ever see it, then now you know the what
this
she
is the
said.
truth.
The truth, yes. But yeah, I agree. It's like it's it's the final girl is always the one that both men and women have to
Hmm.
relate to. They're
Yeah.
the ones that you have to end up rooting for,
Hmm.
and some of the ones we mentioned today are great. Like reasons that you stick behind that final girl
Hmm.
trope. While it is a trope, it's something that does work really well in horror because of the fact that it is so relatable and so kind of empowering. I feel and
Mhm.
inspiring because it shows that like, well, if a petite girl like that can stand up against a
Yeah.
villain like that, then a lot of other girls can too. And I really, really feel like you nailed it right on the head with that. And also Robbie did too. He says Destiny is killing it with the ending narration. Well said. So
Thank you. I feel like half the time, and I've said this before, half the time when I talk, I'm just like, here I go, and I just ramble. I just ramble and hope for the best. I just wing every sentence I say on these. So thank you.
well, you for sure um, saved the best for last.
Yeah,
Um,
that
I
was my
just
closing statement.
and also I just gotta say that because like I was talking to a friend of mine who he was breaking down the whole like horror tropes or whatever, and was saying how a lot of times it's the like you that one girl who's like the party animal or whatever ends up dying, and then the
Mm-hmm.
girl who's insecure, who's pretty but doesn't think she is always the one
She's
that's
all,
is
eh,
always is always the one that
yeah.
ends up living at the end and stuff like that. But like some of these, as I'm thinking about it, some of these that I went through today, it's like some of these actually took that on another level. Said no, you can really be anyone. You don't have to be. You can be insecure. You can be a party person. It doesn't matter. You can just stand up a to a strong evil.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this it's oh cute cat.
Oh yeah, she's coming back,
She's coming back.
and she's gone. All
And
right,
what's the cat's name?
Elvira. Yes,
Elvira.
this one's Elvira, and then Thorn. He's over here minding his own business, being a
Oh,
good boy.
oh,
Yeah, they're
all my
they're bad.
all my animals are upstairs, so I need. So
And we'll leave you alone. We'll let you do this. She's trying to take my pen away. Oh,
apparently, according to Dan, he says that you look like Cara Delevingne.
maybe it's the eyebrows. Maybe it's the
It
eyebrows.
could be the
The,
eyebrows.
the
Yeah.
thick eyebrows, and they used to be thicker. They used to be worse, but I don't see that. But thank you. She's pretty. I like her.
She is. Well, I think that honestly, what you said there is like the perfect way to end it. Honestly, so I want to thank you for coming on here and talking this with me. Um, this has been a great discussion,
Mhm.
a long one, but it was worth it just to
Yes.
be here with you and just to be here with you and talk horror. And this will for sure not be the last time I have you on here. I'm gonna make sure
No. No.
I have you on here plenty more times. And
Yes. Definitely.
and
A lot of fun.
and according to the feedback, it sounds like a lot of people really like you on here too. So
Well, thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna have
Thank you
to
for having me.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course,
Glad we got to finally do it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Glad
Worked
we
out.
yeah, I'm really honored that we got to do it. That I got to do this with you. I've been wanting to collaborate with you for the longest time, and thought that now's perfect time for that. So yeah, so just thank you for coming on, and really
Of
just
course.
you were the definitely the MVP. And also, guys, sound off below on whose lists won. I want to know between
Yeah.
Destiny's or mine.
And if it's not mine, then don't comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kidding.
Which I mean, it'll probably be hers anyways because she's got you know.
To be fair, I did take like the big ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you still had a great list. You had some I wish I
Oh
could have
yeah.
included.
Yeah. Yeah. So appreciate that. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
Let us know.
definitely. But yeah. Uh, thank you all to those who were watching, especially those who I know some who actually stayed through like the 3 hours,
3 hours. I don't think I've ever
especially,
streamed this long.
especially yeah, especially thank you guys for staying through that. So Um, this is not like my 24-hour stream. Which okay, I know we're leaving things, but I just need to mention something real quick before we
Go ahead.
close out. Making the stream a little bit extra longer. So you were talking all about like how the whole like nudity issue. Well, I was playing for charity because I was like, however many views I get, I was going to donate that much money to like Feeding America or something like that. I was playing The Last of Us Part 2. I did a 24-hour live stream. That actually went longer than 24 hours. It was like 25, 26 hours of just like staying up playing that game. And I didn't even beat it that day because I was just like, I was like, I had to go into the next day and stay up till 5 in the morning beating it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when I did it, I had to take a nap because I was like during one part, and I had a friend come over to play some of it. I was like, I need you to do this.
Can't do it.
I can't do it anymore. So then he comes over, he starts playing, and there's a like 1 minute, like a very brief sex scene that pops up in the game. And he like tries to skip through it, and he's like doing that, and then as he finally skipped it, it showed the full sex scene right before he could skip it. But it completely cut the stream off, and it like deleted it off of my YouTube channel like after a week or something like that.
God.
And I'm just like, I spent 24 hours on here for something that was very minimal that they like deleted the video off of because of it. And I got so furious. I'm like you've had so many other videos, of like the same type of stuff that you approved on YouTube, but you have something that like lasts for a minute here, and you're like, no, we can't accept that.
Yeah.
And out of like a
YouTube
24-hour
is insane.
Yeah.
With like what they restrict, because like again, Dead Meat. Like I follow his Twitter, and he like talks about stuff like that, like age restrictions, and he like doesn't even show anything. There's like barely the smallest thing, and it gets age restricted, and like that really hurts views. It hurts a lot, and he shows like the graphs for it, and you see it like rising, age restricted, down. It just plummets. It's just YouTube needs to get their shit in order, because half the stuff that they have on here is like, how's that allowed and how's that monetized? Like how?
Especially, did you hear that whole like thing that happened with YouTube where they had like these ads where apparently they took them off like immediate, like a day after it, because so many people were complaining, but there was actual like pornography in their ads or something like that like popped up for like these certain like websites, and it was so weird, and like full on level stuff. And it was just sort of like, what the world? Why is this on YouTube? And I was like, one of my friends experienced that ad and was like saying like, yeah, your live stream got cut off for that, but I just watched this ad and this is on YouTube. And he's like, I don't know what this BS is, but yeah,
insane. Yeah, they definitely need to get their freaking shit in order, because a lot of the stuff they allow, it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then like kid YouTube, that shit's weird. Stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I don't want kids. I never want them, because can you stop? Thorn's now trying to get my freaking stranger's mask. I'm gonna see, he was being good, and now he's not. Yeah, YouTube just needs to fix everything, because it's ridiculous. And Facebook. We should be able to cuss on Facebook.
Yeah, I actually got zucked on Facebook. What people are calling zucked, because like I remember I posted something. It was like a Bella Thorne music video or something like that. That was really bad. And I was like I was posting in a group chat. I was like, you have to try to survive this, watching this video, because it was just so bad. And apparently, I guess he and like his staff saw that or something like that. And now every time I post a video in that group chat, it doesn't even like pop up as a like with the thumbnail. It's like pops up as, it's weird. It's like it's just a link, and it's not even like
so weird.
a full video thing. Like they still let me post in there, but Like I even got a message from them being like, "What you shared is inappropriate and doesn't match our guidelines." I was like, "What the hell?" It was weird.
Stupid. I know. I won't even cuss at all, and now I look like a 6-year-old because I'm like, that's freaking cool, or that's cool as heck.
Yeah.
I'm like, I look like a fucking kid because I'm not getting banned from Facebook. Like, I'm gonna be pissed if I get banned for saying like bitch or something. Like, that's gonna piss me off. So, yeah, if y'all see me talking like a kid, it's because I'm not getting banned.
Well, you're allowed. You're allowed to come to this channel all you want and cuss like a sailor. Cause
awesome, good. Because I was, and then at one point you said something that wasn't a cuss word. I was like, can I cuss here? I hope I can because I've been doing it. But then you started cussing. I was like, okay, cool. Because, yeah, sometimes I just forget, like, people are watching. And then I just say whatever. And I'm like, this is on YouTube. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But, I mean, people will have to definitely get used to that more often because I'm definitely going to have you on again. This was a blast. Loved it. We are over the 3-hour mark. So
my longest stream ever.
Your longest stream ever. I am honored to have
almost positive.
I'm honored to be your longest stream ever.
Yeah, the only one before this was like mine and like Sinister Cinema Reviews. Like those were the longest, but we didn't hit 3 hours. We hit like 240 at one point, and I think that was it. So
yeah,
my longest one, and I'm still going.
Nice. We'll have to see. We'll have to see who out there can beat 3 hours and 6 minutes.
Good luck, because usually I'm like, I mean, I know I yawned a few times. I go to bed early because I work early in the morning.
Yeah.
Here we go now. So most of the time I'm like over here like trying to stay awake for I'm like, yeah, I'm up, but I had coffee. right before this, so maybe that's why I'm just over here.
That might. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been drinking a cola, so I've been getting some caffeine.
Something. Gotta have something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, so I'll let you get to bed and stuff like that because I've been keeping you on for so long, but I'm just
I don't mind. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, I do have to get bed because I have to work in the morning. Haha. Love that for me.
Dan says try and do as long as The Irishman or Snyder's Justice League. Well, The Irishman, we technically went over that time, and then because that movie is only 3 hours long, and then Snyder's Justice League is 4 hours and 2 minutes.
Yeah,
so we're gonna have to make that.
Yeah, maybe the next one. And we'll start an hour early so we still finish at the same time.
Oh yeah.
That way it's not like, what time is it here? Oh, it's 10:20. Yeah, nah, it's not that bad. I was expecting a lot worse.
It's 11:20 here, so it's, I'm an hour ahead. So
yep.
Yeah.
Freaking time zones, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You want to talk about freaking time zones? One of the guys who I'm friends with who's watching the stream is from New Zealand, and he's just like, I told him, I was like, "Can you join the stream?" He's like, "Yeah, that'd be perfect because I usually can in the evening, but it's 1 p.m. my time," and I'm just like,
insane when it's like it's 10 something here. Time zones are fucking weird. Did you know? Apparently, Jason told me this from Sinister Cinema Reviews that the time doesn't change in Arizona. Because he was like, did the time change for you? And I was like, what do you mean? Did the time change for me? I was like, yeah, duh. And then he was like, the time doesn't change in Arizona. I was like, what the fuck? Because I used to be an hour ahead of him, but now I'm 2 hours because we're trying to like schedule like streams out. And now I'm 2 hours ahead of him, which that sucks because he starts at like 7, which means that's 9 for me. And 9 is usually like my bedtime. So I was just like, how the fuck does it not change in Arizona? How does that make sense?
Man.
But apparently that's the truth.
I guess so, yeah. But it says, Dan says it's now 4:20 here in Middle Earth, which is New Zealand. So that's kind of exciting to
blaze it up.
Yeah.
Blaze it up. 4:20.
Yeah, it's 4:20 and
love it.
Yeah, so, but again, thank you, and I am definitely gonna look forward to the next one that we do. And for all you guys, if you want to see Destiny again, join Killer Flicks on Facebook. It's
Yes, I
a
post often.
it is a horror group or we chat horror movies all day, every day, except Fridays, free for all Fridays.
Not Friday.
And yeah, um, but yeah, I like the look, by the way, with your lights out. Whenever you have
You
your
know,
lights
everyone tells me that. Like,
out,
once I turn off, like, oh, it looks so cool with the lights off. I'm like, should I just keep my ring light off? Like, I feel like I'm too orange. I feel like you can't see me enough. But everyone, like, as soon as I turn off, he's like, oh, that looks so cool with the light off. I'm like, oh, okay. Got it.
I don't have any cool lights like that, so if I just like turn out the lights, it's like
Just black. Hey, when
dark.
Halloween season comes around, go to the dollar store. That's where I got these. These were like $5, and maybe these were from Walmart, but these are like $3. Yeah, get some Halloween lights because that's what these are. There's Halloween lights. But check out the dollar store.
I
You'll find some
definitely,
cool
I
shit.
definitely will. I also want to go like and do a lot of stuff for Halloween. I wanted to go like all out last year, but couldn't because of COVID.
Yeah.
I had it all planned. I was going to make like several tents going down because I have a big hill like reaches down to my house. I was just going to make several tents and like make my own haunt for people to walk
Oh,
through
that'd be so
and like
cool.
have all this like little cool stuff set up in there for to scare people and everything. I was going to have that all set up, but then I only was able to get like 4 people to come or whatever,
Yeah.
5 people because of COVID, and
Yeah.
it was man, I originally had it planned for like 20 people to come and just go into that haunt and then hire some actors and all that stuff. But yeah, then that
I
got
know.
so
It
I,
sucks.
I'm hoping I can do that this year. So
Yeah, I'm hopeful for this year because I feel like things are already getting better, especially now with like the vaccine coming out. Like,
yeah,
I feel like I haven't heard too much like there hasn't been so much like this many deaths now, like how there used to be every day, you know. So I feel like it may be coming down, which has me hopeful. They kind of say like this year it should like clear up, so I'm hopeful. Cause that sucked. Halloween was on a Saturday,
yeah,
and we couldn't do like anything.
it was a perfect day.
Perfect.
I had no trick or treaters. Like there was like maybe like actual Halloween itself. I had like maybe one like kid. I was like, a trick or
Oh my
treater
god! I
outside.
can't believe it.
I threw him kid. I was like, you can have it all.
You just take the whole fucking bucket, just throw it
Yeah,
at him. He's
I
just
was
crying.
so,
It's like
I
I'm
was
so happy right now.
I was so happy to have him. I mean, my neighborhood doesn't get that many anyways,
I would
but
say we don't get
yeah,
any, like no one. But not last year, but the year before that, because my mom she lives in like more of like a subdivision, and like people like go there to that subdivision to get candy, and that was like my first time ever like passing out candy because everywhere else I've lived like no one ever showed up. So this was like a crazy experience for me. Like we went through like bags and bags, like at least like 6 bags of candy. And like we ran out before the night was over. Like we had to like go inside. I couldn't believe it. It was so cool to see all the cute horror costumes. I saw so many Chucky, so many Tiffany's, so many Jasons and Michaels. Not too many Freddy's, but I
oh,
saw it was so cute to see. I was like, oh my god! Like I love your parents because they let you dress up scary. Like you're not just like a princess or something. I was like, I love seeing it. It was so cute.
yeah. I mean,
It's a great experience.
this past Halloween, I was not even like that even inspired to make like a costume this year. That I just kind of recycled a costume that I used
Yeah.
from like last year or whatever, or the year before. Because the year before that, I was Michael Myers for Halloween. I just was like, I would just put on the mask again, jumpsuit. Because I'm like, I only am having like 4 people over 5, so like, why dress up?
That's like what we did
It's
too. Yeah.
something maybe, yeah. So
We had a few people come over, had some snacks. I literally wore my Judy shirt that I wore to the meet and greet. And then I wore my friend's like denim shorts, so I looked more like the Judy character, and I had like my like scrunchie and my hair and stuff. So I was Judy for like a little bit.
Wow.
No one knew who I was. I would have to explain. And I tried to get my boyfriend. I was like, listen, I need you to take off your clothes. You can keep on your boxers. I don't care. I was like, but I need you to be Angela. And I was like, just take the pictures with me. I'll like put a box over your body so like no one can see, you know. I was like, but just take off your clothes. And he's like, I'm not doing that in front of your friends. I was like, it's just for like 2 seconds, so you can't take a picture with me. And my friends are like, why wouldn't you just take the picture? Like, what's the big deal? And then he was like, she wants me to take off my clothes. They're like, Destiny, what are you doing? And I was like, what? I was like, I need it for the picture. Because I had my curling iron and everything ready. I was like, just be my Angela. Maybe next year I can convince him. Maybe. Like, just for a couple seconds. I just need to take a picture and I'll crop everything out. I'll cover you up just so I could take it and post them in groups. That would be an awesome couple's costume.
Oh yeah.
No one would expect it. So you don't have to have your dick out or anything. You can wear your boxers. Like, come on. But whatever.
And if you guys want to know too, Destiny is like the queen of makeup effects and like mask work and stuff like that. And Killer Flick, she posts stuff about that a lot, and I'm
Yes.
always impressed. I'm actually developing like a horror movie right now that I'm writing, and I'm just sort of like I'm writing two. One of them is like a more like a When Stranger Calls type horror movie, and then the other one is a like a slasher, and but like I'm just sort of like, man, if only like you weren't in Texas, because like I was like saying I could like get you as like the makeup person or something like that on one of my movies one day or something.
Sometimes I'm like, damn you, freaking Texas. Like, why can't I?
I'll
Because
just
I'm
have to.
also like so scared to fly. And it's like something I know, like, if I really do want to do this, like, someday I have to get over that because, like, that's a part of, like, the movie industry is you're flying a lot, you know, if
Yeah.
you're, like, constantly going.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't always just be like, oh, I'm too scared. It's like, at what point am I going to, like, actually start, you know? Yeah.
Sure.
But
And
thank you.
I'll have to maybe I'll have to just come up to Texas one day and see if I can.
Yeah, I need, if anyone's making a movie, I need y'all to come to me because I'm a chicken.
Yeah.
I almost threw up talking about you skydiving.
Yeah, in
And
fact,
I wasn't joking.
let's see if I can find the comment from earlier. There's a lot of come in, but I remember like I think it was Robbie said something about giving you like a like that you would need like a Coke or something like that to calm you down because you were so nervous. I'm trying to see if I can find the comment again, but yeah, he says I think Destiny needs some candy or soda. She looks like she's about to pass out after hearing that story.
Seriously. I don't know. I'm so, you know, like, I love SFX and I love stuff like that, but, like, and I love horror movies, but I am, like, scared of everything. I always think the worst in every situation. I didn't go to movie theaters for years because I was scared of getting shot. So in the past, like, 5 years, I've seen 3 horror movies in theaters because I'm just like, I don't like that. I'm so scared of everything. Everything makes me sick to my stomach. Mm-mm.
When that new Joker movie came out,
I had nightmares about
apparently
that.
a lot of there was that story coming around about
Yeah.
like threats happening in movie theaters or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm such a advocate for the movie theater experience. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
nah, not gonna stop me. I'm just gonna, you know,
I literally had a nightmare that we were seeing that movie and that, like, something like that was going down. And it was because I had heard stuff about it. And, like, I woke up and I was, like, freaking out. I was like, oh my God. And I still haven't, I still need to watch Joker, which I'm not, like, really into those sort of movies.
Like,
So
are you saying like comic book type movies or
yeah, they're not my thing,
the
but the
the
new
thing is?
Suicide Squad,
Oh,
that trailer.
I see how it is, Scorsese. I see how it is
Oh my god!
because
Look, I'm just saying the new
God,
trailer for that. I was like, am I gonna watch this? I was like, that kind of looked good. I was like, I probably won't ever watch that the Snyder cut, the 4 hour long. Maybe I don't know.
if you split it up, you probably could, but
Maybe
um,
maybe it's just I've never been really into. I'm really not into much
yeah,
besides horror and like some rom coms. I told you I'm trying to like branch out in my rom com
yeah. Guys, for
movies.
y'all watching this, she has never seen The Princess Bride.
I haven't.
Y'all
I just watched
can,
Legally Blonde like 2 weeks ago. Like,
yeah,
come
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Who am I?
Y'all can give her all the hate in the comments if you want.
Yeah. Leave your hate comments below. I don't get too many too often, and I would like more. So
Yeah,
I haven't seen Alien,
but she's gonna be
Ginger Snaps, Princess Bride,
yeah.
a lot of those type of movies. Oh, Cinderella Story. Is that the one with Hilary Duff? Haven't seen it. That's another one I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Cinderella Story.
And then
Yeah.
another one I recommended you too was While You Were Sleeping, which is another one you haven't seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
those rom coms
Leave
are.
your leave them leave them below. Let me see them.
And Chris Snyder says, "Oh my God, just get on a plane."
Why don't you get on a plane, Chris? He's also nervous to fly, so right back at you.
Yeah,
I'll do it, but I'll have to take like a Xanax or something, and I don't even like to take medicine like that, but I would have to take something or else I'd be one of those people that like as soon as something happens, I'm like, it's fucking going down. The plane's going down.
Oh yeah, I was on a flight to Florida, and near the end of the flight, we lost a little bit of turbulence. So like it like for just a little bit, it dropped like that,
Oh
and
my
then
god.
it picked up again, and then we started going. But I was just like, what? Because I was like moving forward,
Yeah.
to pull myself back.
I
But
would have shit myself. I would have been like, I'm dead. So long, world. This is it for me. Yeah. No, that's like one of my worst. Like, so like, oh, like the chances of it happening. I'm like, yeah, but the chances of it happening to me, it would happen. Like, it just would. I feel like something bad would happen. So maybe someday, but that day is not today.
yeah, I mean, we gotta get you skydiving first, and then
I think I would rather just be on the plane. Not, I can't. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I would be like laying on the like floor in the plane, being like, I'm not moving.
the worst part was honestly like I was falling, and I didn't really. That was kind of surreal, but it's once he lifted the chute out and pulled the chute, it like grabbed, like it went
Yeah.
like that up like this, like the bottom part like squeezed my crotch. I was like, I was like, ow.
Okay, so be prepared for that. If you
Yeah.
ever jump out of a plane, your
So
crotch may be squeezed.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
keep that up in here, and I'll never use it.
But yeah. So so yeah, maybe you'll gain the courage one day to.
Maybe. Yeah.
Uh,
Y'all follow along with my journey if I ever do it or not. We'll
and
see.
I mean, hey, and if you ever do want to travel, you technically could drive, but that's like it's like a 3 day trip from Texas to here. So,
Yeah. Texas is huge. It takes like 8 hours just to get out of Texas from where I live. That's like always the worst part is
yeah.
just getting out of Texas. Everything else, it kind of goes right by. But leaving Texas, no. It's so long.
You've seen SpongeBob, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you told me you were from Texas, I was like kept on the whole day quoting, being like, "Are shoes in Texas, dumb?" And it'd be like,
Texas is
SpongeBob.
dumb.
It'd be like, Patrick, what am I? Stupid? No, I'm
No, I'm
Texas.
Texas.
Uh,
Yes. Oh, I love Sandy.
yeah. was fun.
That's a good show. Oh my god, my lights kind of flickered.
I haven't watched that new movie that came out, that SpongeBob movie or whatever, but
My brothers like it.
that's good. And I have a friend who was watching it who likes it, but I'm gonna call you now the female Scorsese because of your take on comic book movies.
You know, I'll be whatever you want me to be. How about that?
Because he's one of those guys who kept on saying they're not cinema. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I have heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's yeah. They have their fans, and I'm just not really one of them.
I make exceptions. Like there are some, like, you know, when it comes to films like, you know, Logan or Joker or something like that, where they like completely aren't even the same like genre almost, because like Logan was like a Western. It wasn't even like a comic book movie. It was a Western, and just that so happened to have characters like that in it. And then Joker was like, you know, a serious drama that was like super dark and stuff like that. So it's one of those that was like in the vein of like a Taxi Driver or something like that. So yeah, those are definitely different kind of comic book movies that I feel like those who say they're not fans of the genre, I feel like if they watch those, they'd be fans of certain movies in the genre. Like,
I do at least need to watch Joker at some point.
Yeah.
Might as well.
And Logan technically is one of those movies that you can watch and you're not going to be lost on, because they just threw away the continuity like a long time ago in that.
Perfect.
That franchise, and they were like, let's just not give a crap about continuity anymore. Just so.
Yeah, that's when you know you're in a treat, when no one just really cares anymore.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Now I know what to expect.
Good Real Hunting says Joker is so damn good. So you heard it there.
I'll watch it at some point.
She'll have to add that to her list alongside Princess Bride and
literally every other movie.
Every other movie that we've mentioned that she just hasn't seen.
Yeah.
So you have homework to do, but it is at least fun homework.
Yeah, we'll see which ones I actually get to over the next few months. A lot of times I'm like, I'll just rewatch the same movie I've seen a million times. I'll just do that instead.
Yeah, true. I am. So this is a good comment to end it on, but Dan says that Killer Flicks is one of the nicest groups that he's ever been in, sweetest groups of people that he's ever been in, which is
I agree.
Awesome. I agree. That is honestly like meeting you and Robbie and all those people. I mean, it's like one big family. It's awesome.
Completely changed my life. Not to sound cliche, but without that, like, and I've said it before, like, I come from like a small town and everything's so like closed-minded. I would have never, like, some of the just experiences that I've been able to have, and it's because I've joined Killer Flicks. It's just like completely changed really my life and what I do daily. Really, it's so much has changed.
Definitely,
and I'm glad.
Definitely. So yeah, you guys definitely consider joining that. I'll post a link in the comments or in the description so y'all can look into that. But thank you for coming on. I've got to get going here, but to make Dan happy, we almost went the length of Irishman. We went 3.5 hours. So
there's your freaking Snyder cut. That's as
That's as long as it's gonna get. But so yeah, thank you for coming on. This is a blast, and I look forward to our next talk that we do.
Me too. Thank you.
All
right. Goodbye. I hate saying bye. Goodbye, everyone. Good night.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So, yep. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and y'all know what to do is to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, ring that notification bell as loud as you can, and to be notified for more great content. So, yeah, stay tuned. It is late. Well, not really all that late for a Saturday, but I gotta get going. So, you guys were awesome. Thank you for this. Remember, sound off who won, Destiny or me, as far as lists go. I want to know so I can let her know. So sound that off below. And until next time, stay spooky, my friends.